Okay, I'm live now. I'm just gonna. Man, I hate how like every time you stream on YouTube, it's a new link every single time. Like I get it because it's like technically a YouTube VOD, but at the same time, it's like it makes it so convoluted in terms of like linking out streams and shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, what if I have to like go
It'd be
offline
nice.
and go online again? I've got to do a whole new link again. You know what I mean?
It would be nice if they had, yeah, if there was like a way to have just have a link that automatically takes you to your live stream. You know what I mean? Like your live stream page or something like that.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
Okay. All right. How you doing? Need to do any setups or check or sound tests?
Your voice sounds a little funny through my.
Does it?
Feels like I hear a little bit of an echo.
1 2 1 2 1 2. Test 1 2 1 2 1 2. An echo? What do you mean? Explain what you mean. Don't think I'm hearing it on mine.
Yeah, like I can kind of hear an echo. I don't think it's going to be a huge problem, but as long as it's working fine through Audacity.
Hello, echo. Hello, echo. I think it sounds good on Audacity. Yeah, I can't hear anything. Test. I mean, to me, it sounds like it usually does.
All right.
Do you mean to send you that file just in case? See if you think it sounds the same or different?
Sure, let me hear it.
Just in case. Yeah, also. Where does this export to? There. There you go. Test. Test.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
I'm good to go.
All right, just give me
Can
a
you
shout.
see the lineup and stuff?
Yeah, just give me a shout when you want me to start with that.
Oh, just a sec. Just a sec here. I actually need.
정말 절대적이진 않습니다. 그렇지. 흐름이라는 게 분명히 있기 때문에. 그렇죠. 그러니까 엔트리를 내보내는 순서가 되게 중요하다는 것을 지난주에 보여줬어요. 네, 맞습니다.
All right, could you just talk for 1 second?
Hello, what's up, guys? Talking for 1 second.
Okay. I'm just going to grab a little water and we'll start, okay?
Sounds good.
Okay.
What's up? Ready?
Let's go. Can start now.
그래서 오늘 누가 이길지는 아직까지 모르는 거고요. 일단은 첫 경기 이혜훈 선수가 또 선봉으로 출전한 만큼 도미네이터를 꺼냈잖아요. 여기서 일단 저그 팀이 일단 1승
Not sure how close we are here.
숙제가 또 생겼네요. 그렇습니다.
Yeah.
오늘은 어떤 일이 벌어질지
Here it is.
종체에서 이혜훈 선수와 유영진 선수가 첫 단추를 꿰겠습니다.
And here we go with week number 5, Saxory versus Rush. Going to be our game number 1. Dominator, our first map. Let's get it going.
자, 여러분께서는 12월
Bringing the lineup onto screen now. Soulkey is back, boys. I'm feeling a Zerg victory right now.
I mean, they brought out the big guns on Terran as well. We see Rush making another repeat appearance. He's a very strong TVZ player. Hopefully he can offset the balance that Soulkey's going to bring to this table as he just leans on it with all of his Giga Chad weight and makes all of the other pro gamers just leap out of their chairs in surprise.
좀 약간 저그의 시대다.
I'm kind of surprised here, Shun. 2,300,000 won? I thought that Soulkey needs money, bro. Doesn't he want to come out first and try to all kill? I feel like that would be pretty worth at this point. It's rare that we get past 2 million won.
Right, or maybe he's like, anticipating, okay, probably Saxory will probably be eliminated. It is, fairly high likelihood against someone of Rush's caliber, and they have sent out Rush first on Dominator. And maybe he wants to wait his turn, wait until, some players have been eliminated, and then he comes in for like a 4 or 5 win streak and gets that all-kill prize.
약간 포텐셜이 훨씬 더 중요한 것 같아요.
Saxory is one of my favorite players to watch these days for the Zerg lineup. We don't get a lot of Zerg replays on the ladder recently, these days, but
저그가 12대로 남.
I really do enjoy watching him play. I'm curious to see what he's going to bring out. I've actually been doing a bit of streaming recently, playing some more games. It's so tough to play Zerg in the current meta. There's so many ways to punish
Yeah.
Zerg, even if you're going for a fast expansion or you're trying to get aggressive early. There's so many different abusive plays that Terran and Protoss can do, but I think that it really does humble me a lot, and it makes me feel a little bit more appreciative of the strength of these players and what they're actually capable of doing.
Oh, absolutely, saying they might as well be jazz musicians the way they make it look easy, yet I can assure you it most certainly is not. What they do is absolutely insane, how they can make the game look so seamless and smooth despite having to do so much task switching and plate spinning just to keep the lights on and the roof still on the house.
너무나도 편한 상태에서 진행.
It is incredibly impressive, and even more so when you're currently playing the game. I know a lot of our viewers out there haven't played for a long time, and that's completely okay. I absolutely understand. It's way more fun to watch than to play. That is for sure.
Yeah, it's one of those games where it's like you enjoy playing it, but it is almost soul crushingly difficult of a game, which is why it is essentially like the greatest game that was ever made. You know, basically the most complicated, complex depth game, but still accessible enough, still simple enough in its components that anyone can tackle it. It's just the actual tactical depth is just so deep. He's coming in here with one Marine to maybe see if he can tempt fate and get a snipe on the drone, but it seems like he's worried about these eggs hatching into lings, so instead maybe not going to get any drone kills or lost mining time for Saxry early on here, and only like one pair or two pairs of lings have been made thus far, or maybe 6.
Yeah, it's a pretty typical play these days. Terran just sending out their first Marine to try and force the drone off the line. I'm not sure why it was there as late as it was, but maybe Rush not sending it out immediately isn't able to get into the drone line. Usually you can't get the kill, but sometimes you can force just a little bit of lost mining time, and that is worth it for the Terran player in the early game. And here Saxry built a few extra lings. Usually he goes for 4. Yep. Like we can see, he's gone for 6. That's some little compensation for Rush, and keeping his Marine count high back home. It's good enough for him right now.
Yeah, it's ideal if you can avoid making sunken colonies. If you're going to invest heavily into Zerglings, you don't want to do both. You don't want to make 2 sunkens and, like, say, 8 lings, for example. You want to avoid that kind of scenario. Sometimes you'll see, like, a higher concentration of speedlings and just, like, 1 sunken or no sunken, and trying to threat those counter run bys and stuff to try and keep the Terran back for as long as possible until those mutas come out.
Importantly, the SCV was picked off just after seeing the Spire. So he knows that Spire is coming. It's going to be mutalist play, which anyone would expect. But we're not going to be able to see here as the Terran if more lings are going to be coming out. Or, oh yeah, a bunch more lings are going to be made. Or if there's going to be a third hatchery in the main, or another drone will be sent out. How many more drones are being made? All of this has been disguised now. Saxry bringing all the lings to the front. He is going to completely surround this first move out. Rush is in so much trouble. This is a huge surround. Perfectly done. All of this is going to go down so quickly. Almost nothing ends up dying. Oh, the fireback gets in the wall.
Yeah.
The fireback gets in the wall. That's very important. He might be able to get through that, though. He might be able to push into the main base and slow down these turrets. If he can get on top of these Marines, he gets the firebat. He's going to get the Marine on the left-hand side. The lings are being blocked. Oh, that Marine actually survives with just 5 HP. It does go down. Another Marine popping out here, but you bet the turrets are going to be slow.
Yeah, the turrets are going to be way slow, and he's still getting some of these Marines as well, so it's critical damage even if he doesn't slow down the turrets much, and he has definitely slowed down the turrets more than enough right now, and he's still losing Marines. This is absolute critical damage done to Rush. It's so punishing. He moved out exactly 4 minutes 50, just like Saxry expected, just pounced on that usual move out timing. Unfortunately, Rush just didn't have his wits about him. Now maybe even losing this 1 additional Marine, or not quite.
These mutalists may be able to clutch the victory. There's only a few Marines available, and the turrets are not done. He can not prevent this turret from going down, but he can swap into the main base and start to slow down these turrets as well. Okay, that one finishes up because he went after the one in the natural first, but these are emergency turrets by Rush. He's adding on so many because he knows he just doesn't have the power to fight with Marines right now. These mutas can just take head on all the Marines.
Well, he knows there's a win condition for Saxy where he just continues muta production from these 2 hatcheries and just keeps rallying them across the map and pressuring him. If he doesn't make these additional turrets, he might just be at risk of getting bowled over right away from the sheer amount of DPS coming out of these mutalisks and not enough Marines to support on the ground. So now he's bought himself some time. The game has slowed down just a little bit, but a few more mutas are still coming out from Saxy. So he wants to keep the pressure on, but he's not fully committed to this. He will probably do a little bit of a transition.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that Saxry didn't fully pull the trigger on this mutalist follow-up. He did so much damage there, but he's a little bit worried that Rush might be able to stabilize, and so he built a bunch of drones intermixed in between the Ling production and then the mutalist production. He sprinkled in some drones, and now he's got nearly full saturation in his naturals, so he has a position where he can transition. He didn't have the power to actually eliminate Rush in this game. Picks off the turret, going to continue to do some work in this natural, maybe going to get this supply depot as well, because Rush is a little bit nervous about fighting into these mutalisks. If he loses every Marine, then still, Saxory could flood Lings and win this game.
Right. Yeah, the whole position's open now. Without Bunker and the natural expansion as well, like, this is a big problem because the Marines can't defend the main base without risking a run by of Lings into natural. Losing so many of these Marines to the great Mutalist micro of Saxory, and he's abusing this ramp pretty much perfectly. I mean, he's going to start to open up this turret formation at the low ground as well to open up Terran production, streamline some Lings in to come in and support this. Rush is in a lot of trouble. He's got to come into their main base, defend this off, but that also exposes the Marines even more.
Ooh, the Marines are getting taken out, and GG is called. Saxory wins this while making that transition. He was not completely all in with that play. A very convincing win from Saxory. Pulling Rush apart like that, that's not what I expected at all, but like I said at the beginning, he is such an interesting player to watch. Saxory, a fan favorite, a favorite of mine, hopefully a favorite of your guys' as well after this week of KCM. Okay, game number 2. Oh, where's this lineup?
감사합니다. 다음 주 월요일은 또 대학대전 결승전이 또 있는 만큼 모두의 축제를 같이 즐겨주시면 될 것 같고요. 그렇죠. 윤수열 선수가 두 번째 경기, 그러니까 토스팀 선봉으로 지금 나왔단 말이에요. 이번 시즌에 토스팀이 좀 성적이 저조한데.
Wow, I almost just crossed off Saxory's name from the lineup as I was going to update that score tab. Not an expected result there. Very unexpected. You were just saying at the beginning of the match that Rush might be the big guns needed for Terran to take out Soulkey, but just getting whacked over the head there by Saxory, completely taken off guard. And now we're in a situation where who's going to be able to take down Soulkey? Is it even going to be possible?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Saxory abused his image so perfectly. He's a really strong macro Zerg. The last thing you expect is like an all-in Ling, like cheese as you're moving out at that 4-minute 50 mark just to surround your bio push out. He did not expect that at all. Rush really underestimated Saxory and his range of play and got completely caught off guard and punished for it. Saxory's an absolute monster god, macro monster god, so if he can somehow survive those early game phases, he will seem a much stronger player. It's just sometimes he's not able to hang in that early to mid game phase. Doing a pretty good job of it thus far. Now he's against YSC, maybe someone close enough to his caliber to be okay, but still needs to be really careful. Going to be already putting on a lot of pressure with this probe, forcing some lost mining time.
Just going back to that last game for a moment, the real opportunity came when Saxory killed that SCV. Rush, generally not the type of person to lose that so early on, and will keep that SCV alive for a long time in the main base, but really good on Saxory for immediately recognizing the lack of vision and the opportunity. Taking advantage of opportunities is exactly the type of play that you need to see out of a champion player. There's not a lot of mistakes that get made by top tier players like Rush, but when you see them, you gotta take advantage. Now, the Zealot of YSC making its way over here towards the natural. He's got the probe, he's got the Zealot. Can he get the 2-shot off on some of these drones, or are these Lings gonna surround and kill? Saxory's gotta move these drones perfectly.
So far, so
Here we
good.
go.
I mean, it's a lot of lost mining time, so YSC's happy to take this a little bit. He's not too... He wants to get maybe one drone at least for his efforts, but now the Lings are hatched, makes it a lot more complicated. Doesn't want to just trade off this Zealot to like 1 or 2 Zerglings. Ideally, you want to kill like 3 or 4 Zerglings here if you can. It has got this probe more or less isolated. It needs to be careful now, circling out with the probe while the Zealot remains behind. Now the Zealot trying to get back behind those minerals, but unable to do so. Pretty good target firing and surrounding from here. Saxory going to clean it up really tidily.
That is so hard to do, by the way. Getting the Lings to surround perfectly on a Zealot that's walking in your mineral line. It can be extremely frustrating, but Saxory managing to get an almost perfect surround. No drones lost so far. He's going to be feeling very good with his third base going up at 12, interestingly enough.
Yeah.
That 12 o'clock base is pretty cool, I think.
Right.
It's just like the high ground bases in that it doesn't have as much minerals, but you can spread out a little bit earlier on the map as a Zerg player, and there's a potential here where you could go to 4 base and then lock YSC onto 3.
Right, and it is pretty defendable. I mean, it's quite a deep pocket, so when they do go in there with their Zealots, they are pretty committing to that. They run the risk of their Zealots getting caught inside that expansion and killed, so quite defendable as well with how deep the pocket is, kind of like a snooker pocket. I'm liking this from Saxry so far. The setup seems good. I'm not sure what YSC's got planned for him. Maybe just some standard mid-range tech going into the mid-game, so nothing too crazy, but I don't know, like, so far we see everything pretty much standard timing from YSC, so I don't think we're going to see any like crazy shenanigans out of him, like a mini build where he's like rushing into tech and getting like 2 gateways worth of speed Zealots to put on some early pressure. Seems like it's just going to be a very standard game from both players with that 3 base spire into maybe 5 or 6 Hatch Hydra.
Well, here on Kickback as a Zerg, I'm most concerned about whether or not the Protoss player is going to take their Nexus, their 3rd Nexus, before pushing out or not.
Okay.
If they're going to just be powering really hard on 3 bases and try to hit you with 1 big timing attack, that can be very strong, but it also gives you a big opportunity to switch into Lurkers and set up a massive contain in front of their natural. But if they kind of fake that type of style, it's so common for Protoss players to take that 3rd Nexus. If they fake that out, build a bunch of gateways and hit you at an earlier timing, and you're busy droning and getting prepared for a play like that, you might get caught completely off guard and thrown for a loop. Let's see if YSC wants to take this 3rd base or not.
Yeah, the range of play definitely way wider than usual for both players here with how the geometry of this map is set up, and having easy access to this 3rd gas here can really create some interesting opportunities for both players to go for. We see now YSC moving a probe up here. We'll have to see if he wants to go for that 3rd expansion early on or not. Saxry, though, doesn't have any way of checking that because of the problem with Corsairs, so he can't just like float an Overlord over there to check that as well, so he'll have no way of knowing until his own air units are out.
4th base on the way for Saxry. Gonna set up some hatches in the front as well. Start to create that wall in. Feels like he wants to play a pretty turtley style. And the fact that he's getting this 4th online already, I feel like this is pretty good against YSC. What YSC may be wanting to do, taking that Nexus on high ground, the 3rd base already. Might be playing into Saxry's hand a little bit if he wants to just play macro style.
Yeah. Do you think Saxry's going to go for a contain here? Or are we going to see like maybe a more Ogre Zerg focused style using air units?
I think we might see him go 4 base directly into Hive and just try to get his Defiler out quickly. This is, I think, Saxry's MO. The way that he likes to play is very macro-centric, don't you agree?
Yeah, 100%. He's pretty much one of the strongest macros. Ooh, nice catch on that as well. Tried to break its angles at the last frame, but wasn't able to do so. A little bit slow on the reaction there from YSC. Nice pickup from Saxry getting that early kill. Such a big deal getting 100 gas off of the table early on and keeping that Corsair count low. Scourge also going to be scouting around, finding the Zealot move out timing, which is nice.
Don't have +1 just yet. No speed. This is an attack that's meant to kind of catch the Zerg player off guard at an unexpected time. Let's see if he can actually get in here. Ooh, a DT into the natural at the same time, but there's a lot of lings here. The positioning looks very good on these Hydras as well. The drones can really block well for this. And yeah, he will just be driven away immediately.
Yeah.
Does need to keep cautious, though. That DT is slinking around in the darkness, waiting for a move out so that he can slide by. 1 Sunken will not stop that.
Yeah, DT can be really scary, especially if aided in slipping by, like a Zealot tanking a few shots for it or something. We need to be super careful with that DT out on the field once he knows about it. Still tracking these Zealots with the Scourge is going to be handy for him. Maybe he can somehow isolate these units. I do have the +1 upgrade now, but with enough Hydras out on the field, he should be able to clean these up pretty cost efficiently. DT's trying to come down here and make this a bit of a favorable trade for YSC. If he can somehow buy enough time by running away, the DT can start to pin in some of these units.
Excellent surround on that first Zealot. He's going to trap these on the high ground. That DT is doing some work. Going to kill a couple of Hydras at least. Maybe even 3 or 4. Starting to run away now, and there's the Overlord speed. So maybe he can also trap the DT down in bottom right. So far, so good for Saxory. Handling all the moves of YSC, and he just spotted the base up there on high ground as well. So he knows exactly what's going on. He knows he's got a lot of time here before YSC is going to be ready to move out again. He just killed a big contingent of his army, and he knows that he's going to want to drone up or probe up a little bit, get that third base fully online before he pushes out. Triple evolution chamber, Hive on the way. This is exactly what I expect from Saxory.
Yeah, I mean, he's not going to have a lot of units right now, but he is setting up for a very powerful late game. Will be sometime. He's got 2 idle drones behind the spawning pool. A little bit of a oversight there. Hopefully, you can identify that pretty soon, because 2 drones in his third base would be nice right now. Pretty low saturation on that third base down below, so it would be nice if you can get some drones over there.
A spawning pool party has ended. Gonna send those drones back to work. That's quite a few Templar, and there's no mutas or anything going to be present to try and snipe those Templar, do anything about them. A lot of sunken colonies coming up at this front. Really wants to rely heavily on sunken defense at that natural so that he can focus more heavily on the 4th base and potential 5th base. He needs to take another base eventually as well.
Right.
So he wants to have a really strong position over at this natural, so he doesn't have to spend too many forces over here to defend.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it is covering 3 bases by building defenses here, so it is a fairly easy investment to make, as he's even confident enough to put some defenses at this 12 o'clock, which is 1 base and 1 entrance. So can see that he wants to spread his stack defense as much as possible, so he doesn't have to utilize as many infantry forces in defending that, so he can be a little bit more flexible in his army movements. So far, we start to see now finally a YSC pulling a lot of Dragoons, but not really having a strong contingency to really outmuscle Saxory just yet, but has got a significant force to start to push out onto the map at least.
Good spotting. Ling going through the middle there is going to pick up on this force moving towards the middle of the map. He's also going to spot a probe heading down to bottom center.
Nice.
Stopping this 4th base from coming up is really important. Saxory knows that YSC will mine out quickly on these 3 bases if he's forced to oversaturate those for too long.
Yeah. And the Nidus Canal's coming up this early on. It's going to be very difficult for YSC to really find any critical damage. So I imagine both players probably going to be in macro mode for at least a few minutes here, especially while YSC manages to secure this 4th base at 6 o'clock. Although he's now maybe changing his gears just a little bit, thinking, hang on a minute, if I just push everything to the front and skirmish with the Zerg, maybe things will still go out okay for me powering on 3 bases. But I'm not so sure. I think he needs to worry about a 4th base, because Saxory will not allow him easy access to a 4th base if he doesn't get it up now.
He's going to continue to counterattack down there to 6 o'clock while setting up even more defenses over at the natural. That's so many sunkens. He's got the Defiler out as well. Should have Consume coming up pretty soon. It's 12 minutes, Shun.
Yeah.
12-minute 30. He's got the Defiler out, and he's going to start casting spells. How quickly? This might be the quickest plague we've ever seen, potentially. Like a 13-minute, 14-minute plague.
But even
crazy.
Even the Dark Swarm alone makes it so much harder for these Dragoons to get in here and do their job. You rely almost purely on Zealots and Storms to kill the Lurkers under the Dark Swarm, and there's just not enough utility to do that, to cost efficiently break through the Zerg right now. He can also channel units through these Nidus Canals and flank from behind. And getting this base up in the bottom right and another Nidus Canal set up is beautiful from Saxory. He's going to be churning out like an absolute madman soon.
Yeah, that's a bit of a crazy base to be taking right now, but it might end up working out well for him if that's not scouted. YSC has a unit up in top right, which he thinks is scouting for that 5th base, but has no idea that it's already getting set up down there. A big surround could be potentially incoming from Saxory. YSC is tucking himself into this corner pretty tightly. Continuing to deny a 4th base from YSC is really important. He's waiting for some more upgrades and getting this Plague online as well soon.
Yeah, I imagine that Plague is just a few heartbeats away. He's had Darkstorm for
There
a
it
little.
is.
There it is. Look at that beautiful Plague. And we're going to be seeing more and more of those as well. And YSC's a little bit panicked. He knows he needs to get something done soon. He can't really maintain this game state. He's going to try and dive in there, see if he can targets down some of this static defense. The Lings are coming underneath the Darkstorm and crippling some of these low HP units that have been targeted by Plague, though. So look how quickly those Dragoons died. Two of those Cracklings under the one they've been plagued. Need to be very careful. So many units are being built by Saxry behind as well. So this is going to get really untenable for YSC in a few moments. He hasn't got this fourth base online, and Saxry's now in like late game macro mode.
I would love to see the upgrade difference right now. Those Ling upgrades started very, very early, so he might have +1/1 already, with +2/2 on the way. Here comes the Defilers out for some more blood. Be throwing down that ketchup on all of these units, and man, do Dragoons ever die quickly when they've been plagued and Hydras are hitting them. Whole bunch of Dragons go down there just for him to snipe one Defiler and a few Hydras. That's pretty rough.
Yeah, it's pretty rough, especially when the meta these days is to like go into those armor upgrades. So once Plague comes online, you've got 2/1 armor upgrades, but it doesn't really matter anymore. Units don't have any HP, so they just melt, like, and they don't even have as much damage as they usually would. Really not optimal for Protoss to trade like that once Plague gets underway. If he keeps his lurkers spread as well, like, he's going to be trading so cost efficiently. I just don't see how YSC is going to be able to, like, you know, surmount him. It's going to be too crazy. Oh, look at this defensive setup.
Oh, he sees it. Now YSC knows. Oh, he just found out about this base down bottom right, and his heart just had to sink. He's had a unit in top right scouting for the fifth base for so long.
Yeah.
Just expecting that to come down anytime. There's triple expansion in bottom right at the moment. Oh gosh, he's running up with a lot of lurkers. That's a pretty juicy storm there, but I don't even see one Templar. Okay, there's one Templar in the army. Lings are going to come right into the space. Defilers are already on top of the third. This is the power of getting those Defilers out super quick.
Ooh, feedback onto
and the
that
power,
Defiler.
yeah.
That feedback was actually quite critical on that Defiler. Might help him out enough. If he can keep getting feedbacks on Defilers, that is like the ultimate late game skirmish trades that YSC can do. It's just very difficult to get those feedbacks off at the right time. Also sniping observers in the bottom right, denying any chance of coming in here and opening up this defensive pocket. Such a good setup from Saxry. There's that defensive formation down there with the Nidus Canal setup. It's almost impossible to get in there and break open easily. He's playing almost flawlessly at the moment.
Absolutely, and YSC has made several mistakes this game, one of which being this far out on the map with such a small army. A lot of this is just going to get absolutely shredded. Lurkers coming from behind, everything getting wiped out. He can't take a fourth base, and GG is called. Masterful play by Saxry.
Damn. He's actually trying to get some fans.
I definitely knew that, you know, Saxry was capable of beating YSC, but I didn't know that he was going to slap him down that hard.
Yeah, that
Jesus.
was pretty convincing. Yeah.
I think he really played that map well. Like, he knows that the Protoss is just going to take a quick third.
Right.
He's not going to have pressure.
And the game stays fine as long as he doesn't get a fourth.
Yeah.
And
all right.
Yeah, go.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and like the bases mining out so fast, like really puts Protoss on a clock they're not usually on.
Yeah, true. Well, I think Solkey might be regretting his decision. Sending out Saxry first has backfired. There's no way for him to get a all-kill prize anymore. In order to get the all-kill prize, guys, you need to eliminate 3 of one race. And we've already lost Rush and YSC. So the best he could do is kill 2 Protoss or 2 Terran, and that's just not good enough to get that 2 million won all-kill prize. So Saxery has the possibility to do that. The Protoss and Terran have the possibilities of doing that, but Sulky and Queen, they're out of the running for now.
Yeah. I wonder if Sulky anticipated that. Like, I mean, I don't think many people could, expecting Saxery to take out 2 players in a row right out of the gate. It's a little bit surprising. He is a very strong player, but not quite on the level of some of these other guys just yet. So very impressive stuff from him. If he takes a game off Sharp as well, that's going to be absolutely insane cross-map here on Pantheon. Maybe not quite as easy of a game for him to win necessarily, but he might still be able to pull it out.
You know, Sharp during the previous ASL was showing such unbelievable progress and improvement in his play.
Right.
But recently I haven't been as impressed with him in the KCM and elsewhere. Feels like he's just not quite as inspired or motivated to practice and really keep his level up, and it slips away so quickly when you're not grinding constantly this game.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, he's more in a simmer at the moment, maybe waiting for that next SSL season to roll around before he really starts to crank up the gas mark again. But at the moment, it does seem a little bit on the simmery side. And just, you know, a few bubbles rather than that, like, absolute craziness we saw, that rolling boil we saw in the SSL, where he was absolutely firing on all cylinders and dominating players we didn't expect.
And so we'll see if he has the metal right now, if he's got the heat he can bring to Saxery in this game. Saxery does seem to have a bit of that fire in him right now.
Yeah.
He's got that. He's cooking. We'll just let him cook.
Yeah.
Saxery popping out some lings. Some Marines are heading around in a weird direction, but they might actually walk directly into this Overlord. No, Saxery going to pull it over top of that cliff. A little bit of back and forth here, a little bit of mind games going on that are kind of subtle between those Marines and that scouting scouting Overlord.
Yeah, Saxery's like trying to do one of the hardest things in StarCraft, which is where you're like rising up through the pro gamer ranks, and basically he's like whisking an egg over and over again. He's trying to make that dish that's like, you know, only reserved for emperors, because you'd break your arm from whisking the eggs so much, trying to get them perfect until they're like silky yellow and like don't even stick to your teeth when you eat them. It's just perfect, but you do have to break your arm to get that result, and that's what you see from a lot of these guys that are up and coming. It's so hard for them to rise to the top of the pile, and they're getting absolutely destroyed along the way. But if you can somehow make it both psychologically and actually physically execute, you can start to hold your own and stop them abusing your weaknesses and get to be a strong enough player that you can then start to abuse them.
It feels, for the most part, like Saxery has been getting abused up until this point, but he's become the attacker. He's become more aggressive, as shown in that game number 1. He's certainly more capable of bringing the hurt to these Terran and Protoss players earlier in the game than we would usually expect from him, and I think that is like the evolution that needs to take place.
And if the world has taught us anything, saying like hurt people, so this traumatized Saxery is out for blood.
Yeah, he is reaching that level where you're not just allowing your opponents to kind of decipher your style and take advantage of you. You actually start to take advantage of them, and this is a very macro-centric style from Sharp. What we're seeing right now, he's going for a very early +1 upgrade. It's super trendy in TVZ at the moment. Triple barracks in the main afterwards, so he's going to have 4 Rax Marines. He'll have a bit of a later factory than with most builds, but he's going to have a huge amount of pressure out on the map right as the transition is trying to happen between Mutalisks to Lurkers. That's when he's going to have that +1 armor coming online as well, and it prevents the Lurkers from 2-shotting, makes them 3-shot the Marines, and that gives you just that little bit of extra bump as a Terran player to maybe break through a not completely secured Zerg position. Ooh, getting a Ling in the main base is really nice and sneaky. He's not going to be able to prevent the turrets from finishing up, but he's going to get a full scout. Sees everything, and he knows exactly how much pressure he's going to be under, even before these Mutalisks make their way into the main base and scout everything.
Yep, and now he knows exactly where all the turrets have been positioned. Ooh, has lost a Mutalisk already, though. Look at that. Sharp, very good target fire from those bio units. He's not necessarily the best in this matchup, but he does do a little bit of extra finesse with his bio positioning that other Terran players don't always go for. So I like to always see what he can bring to the table with his decision-making, with his bio. Sometimes he's great at catching those mutas on the exit as well. He'll happily run his Marines out and around his own base to catch them on the exit vector. And he's pretty sneaky about it.
I'm surprised that he had range finished as those mutas flew in. Usually the range isn't finished for, 10, 20 seconds as the Mutalisks are arriving in the base, but somehow he was able to get all that out. Very impressive stuff.
Yeah.
Gets that first kill on the mutas. Usually you get a little bit abused with the +1 build before that upgrade is done, but now he's got +1 armor on the way as well, and he's starting to push out Saxory, putting together these mutas. Let's see if he can defend something like the way that Soulkey does, bringing Lings up as well. But he doesn't have very many. Does he have enough to stop this force? Is he going to try and surround this? He's making the transition right here, right now, trying to switch into Lurkers. But this is a very strong Marine Medic force out on the map. He's really got to pay attention to this. Make sure that this... Yeah, go ahead.
I would say trying to disguise the transition by putting all the tech at the third base. So unless he scans the third base, he won't know exactly what's going on. He's spending most of his scans just trying to keep track of these Mutalisks and see exactly where they're going. He's trying to now isolate some rallied units, which is a really good pickup here from Saxory. A few medics may be going down as well. Sharp needs to be extremely careful. He's got a nice count of bio, but he needs to keep it all together and functional as one single unit.
Checking the rally point of Saxory, quite a few Lings popped out. This is that Soulkey-esque play that I was talking about. Building all of these Lings and getting prepared to surround and just kill this Bioforce so that the transition can go along smoothly. It's not easy to make it happen. So let's see if Saxory is capable of playing this style at the highest level. He's put a fair amount of investment into this, so he really does need to make the most out of it. He can't just throw in those Lings and have them all die, because a counter push may end up just cracking him open. He needs time to make these Hydras, make those Lurkers, and get a few more drones out to that third base so that he can make this transition smoothly.
Yeah.
SCV, I think, heading over into the center left, going to get that scout off. He sees all of the tech, and he now knows that there's no Lurkers at that base just yet. He's staying very far back, very, very conservative here with his Marine Medic, not allowing it to get surrounded and killed. This is really good play by Sharp.
Well, I think Sharp has identified that Saxory is not playing like he usually does. He's made so many more Mutalisks and Lings in this phase of the game than he would usually be reserved to doing. We see a very fast Guardian play going to be coming out. Maybe he can get both a Lurker transition and Guardians underway and put on both pressure to Sharp while also being defensive, utilizing these Lurkers and Defilers. This could be just the ticket that he needs, but Sharp, if he's aware of it, can somehow figure this out, can start to put the gas pedal down, make it harder to morph those Guardians to keep the pressure on. So far, Saxory's done a pretty good job of whittling down the force of bio, though, and keeping it much more manageable.
I feel that this might be a reaction from Saxory that he wasn't able to get the most out of those Mutalisks, and he needs to do something with them. So getting the Greater Spire might just be a way of getting some more juice out of that orange, trying to get some sort of use out of those units.
Maybe I thought
Lurkers
he was
coming up and burning.
I thought he was going to do like a semi-Lurker contain into a Guardian play and try and win that way and try and trick Sharp into thinking, oh, he's going to try. He needs to be careful with it. I don't think Sharp knows. I think Sharp should challenge this right now. I think Sharp should be a little bit more cautious. Like, the Lurkers out on the field are not very strong, but well supported of Lings and Lurkers. Please be careful, Sharp.
It's a scary moment. Lurkers are going to come up from behind. Oh, a couple of Irradiates here are going to do so much damage. Oh, it's getting really bad. It's getting really bad now, Shun. That's so many kills
One vessel does
Oh
go
my
down.
gosh, so much damage. He does get one science vessel though, and he's going to start a little bit of a counterattack. These mutas are extremely low, and the army is making its way over towards the natural. Does Saxry have anything in the natural to actually save this? Because he might just straight up die.
I don't even know if he's got much back. He has got Defilers, but Dark Swarm's not able to be deployed just yet. Hasn't got the energy. No, Consume is not done, I don't think. GG is cool. Big mistake from Saxry, and Sharp just calls his bluff and says, I don't think you got it, buddy. And he didn't have it. He has to muck his cards.
Oof, that couple of irradiates was so painful. As soon as he ate those 2 irradiates and all the damage that went with it, I feel like Saxry realized he wasn't going to be able to challenge the army. That is a painful loss. I felt like Saxry was doing very, very well in the early game. He had the game plan, but Sharp had his number. He knew, like you were saying, that Saxry was playing a little bit out of his style. He was going for a huge Ling Mutus around, and he just denied it from him by staying in the natural.
Yeah.
Excellent choice. Sharp coming out with the science vessels, pushing everything back. Just excellent, solid play from Sharp. Saxry goes down, but he made a big splash here this week, taking out 2 players, putting Zerg in a very good position. How far can Sharp go, though? Let's find out.
I'm ready when you are.
Okay. I'm glad to see Sharp performing at a very high level, putting out a great game against Saxry there. Pretty big brain, honestly, from Sharp. The way that he identified what Saxry was going for and just handled it. Even having bunkers back in the natural ready for the eventual counterattack, right? It's
well,
pretty smart stuff.
very well prepared from Sharp. Quite impressive, honestly. It's almost like he had perfect star sense into what Saxry was trying to do.
It really did feel like he read him completely, where Rush wasn't able to, right? Rush walked right into the clutches, right into the death trap that Saxry had set up for him. And Sharp just completely nimbly dodged around that. Now we've got Best versus Sharp here on Minstrel. This is possibly going to be the best game of the night, Shun. This could be a banger.
And he didn't gas steal.
Interesting. Not gas stealing as well. He definitely had the opportunity to, right?
Yep.
Did he have the money for it?
I think he did. He let Sharp take 11 gas.
Interesting. So he's comfortable to play against Sharp's normal style then.
That's kind of interesting. I wonder what the thought process is behind that from Best. Like, is he thinking like, did he make it look? Did he want it to be like this? Like, did he want it to fake a gas steal? I don't understand why he would do that. I'm a bit curious about Best's choice here. I wonder what he's thinking about the game plan.
Yeah, it's funny to send out your probe so early, and not steal the gas. Seems a little bit counterintuitive to me, but maybe there's a deeper plan for Best going forward. He's only mining with 1 probe on gas, by the way.
Interesting.
Maybe wanting to take a very quick Nexus after this.
Yeah, maybe. He's getting a bit of down. Ooh, if he kills this scout. Oh my god. Oh my god, Best. Okay, he's denying the SCV scout with just the probe alone. If he can keep this up, this is crazy. Oh my god. If he can't get in there and identify what Best is going for, this is crippling for Sharp, not knowing what's going on.
Well, Sharp going to start to push out with 2 Marines. He tries to gun down that probe, but it's going to stay vigilant out on this map. Zealot coming across. Going to put on a little bit of pressure. 4 SCVs on the gas.
Yeah, what's going on
he
there? That's got to be a
tilted,
mistake.
or what's
Yeah,
going
he
on?
must be confused. I think he's tilted that he couldn't get in there with the SCV scout, or at least made a mistake. And now he's got an idle SCV.
Looks like he fixed it.
He's definitely playing a little bit offbeat though because of that. Now we see a proxy factory as a response. Double two fact. What was he do?
Interesting.
Ooh.
So he did fix the SCV there on the gas.
Yeah.
Gonna go ahead and make a second factory. I hope he doesn't get stuck in the corner. That's what the observer is showing us, that there might be a little gap there. Might be okay. SCV makes its way in, does get taken down. Sharp gonna be pulling back with these Marines up onto the high ground. He's gonna reveal the fact that he doesn't have a CC just yet, which is a little bit concerning for Best. He might be able to figure things out just by how many Marines, and the lack of CC here might make him a bit suspicious.
I mean, it is possible he made it in the main, but we know it's very likely he wouldn't have done that. It's very much more likely he would have tried to make that in the natural. So we can assume with certainty here from Best that there's probably no CC behind this. So he's a little bit maybe curious what's going on.
We'll see if he's figuring it out by the fact of how many gateways he's building. One gets started. If he builds two, then he knows. And he's going to be able to most likely hold this attack, but it's going to come down to micro and the overall engagement and how it plays out. Of course, mines can change the game for either side, right? It could completely sink you as a Terran, or it could make your day. So we'll see how those mines end up connecting, if they end up connecting, and what Sharp can do with this to factory play. It's kind of gone out of the meta for a reason, right? It's not nearly as strong as it used to be. Maybe he can get behind these units though. Drop the mines behind the Dragoons. He's gonna come in at an awkward angle.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, the vultures are gonna go all the way around. Look, he's gonna go over the top.
Interesting.
And try to come around the back.
Right. If he can lay mines like behind the Dragoons and get on top of them, it's going to be really hard to defend against this from Best here. But let's see. He's got a shield battery to help compensate. Maybe he can hold this. He's going to try and bait him out a little bit to the front with this attack and then try and get the vultures in behind. But so far, Best is doing a good job of standing his ground and not coming out.
Yeah, the shield battery is a bit of a stopgap here. Instead of getting triple gateway and 3 Dragoon production, he's going to go for the shield battery to try it. Oh, the mine connecting there. He almost dragged that second mine as well. Vultures coming in from the side. Not the best engagement for Sharp. He'd much rather have those vultures coming in from the back. Great pull there, but it actually doesn't connect the mines onto those tanks, and so they're still very healthy, going to be able to hit this shield battery. They will need to back out, though, pretty soon. Otherwise, this could get a little bit out of control. As the Dragoon number continues to grow, and there's just not enough vultures. He's trying to dive in. He's going to pull the mine right into these tanks. Oh my god, that connection.
Yeah, that's pretty
absolutely insane.
And this last, now one tank is just one hit from dying as well. There are a couple of mines out which will be the saving grace of Sharp though. If these 2 mines were not out here, Best might just dive on both of those tanks and gobble them up like a hungry boy, like a hungry hippo. But unfortunately not going to be able to get those 2 kills. So Sharp, technically, that's not the worst case scenario. We did get out there with 2 tanks. It's not the end of the world, but honestly, like, this is a great hold from Best. He's still got 2 bases churning out. There is pressure on Sharp to do something still.
Yeah, it's bad here for Sharp. Best, excellent hold from him. He's kind of, you know what Sharp's done is he's kind of made it look like there's a proxy over shield battery there. He's going to come in, try to throw those mines down right on top of these units. There goes the shield battery. Great job running out here, trying to bait some more mines into this army. He's done a great job of that so far. It doesn't connect on the tank. One less chance here. Oh, a mine actually connects.
Well, these tanks are doing a lot of heavy lifting right now. Siege is up and now laying mines. Okay, things just got a little bit scary. That's why it was so crucial that he got out with these 2 tanks, because he can still do a lot with these 2 tanks. It's just going to be very, very difficult to get in here and finish the game. Beautiful spread of the goons from Best, trying to clear out as many of these mines as possible. He's taking some shell fire damage from one of these tanks, while the other one's kind of positioning a little bit more cautiously. He could have had that sieged up back there, but he hasn't had that sieged up, and it hasn't been contributing to the fight this entire time. And now without the DPS of that second siege tank, I don't feel like he's done enough, and Best has got way too many Dragoons left over alive.
Really does look like Best has this game in his pocket. Sharp gonna back up and get a CC, but it is so incredibly late. Take a look at the supplies. More than 20 advantage for Best, and he's about to have a Reaver. He's already got observers out.
Yeah.
He has a pylon wall at his front. He sees the potential for these vultures to run by. He's going to take a third and start that third before the natural of the Terran's even done, Shun. This is so bad.
It feels like Sharp is very quickly becoming the woman you tie to the stake to offer to King Kong as like a sacrifice.
He is indeed going to be dragged all the way to the top of the Empire State. Problems have it seriously. This is seriously gone awry for Sharp. 2 factory was not the play. It did seem like he was tilted, though. We mentioned that earlier. It felt like he was falling apart a little bit. You know, not getting the SCVs on the gas geyser. Having a little bit of trouble in multiple areas. Then he was just like, okay, I just need to end this game. Let's go for a 2-factor and try to make that work.
Maybe this is why
I don't want to play alone.
Gas steal him, saying maybe he wanted to force a play like this out of Sharp. Like he knew that if he gas steals him, then he just plays bunker expand or something, and then we have a much more normal game. And Best didn't want that. Best wanted to force Sharp into a bit more of an earlier game aggression by getting that 11 gas, maybe.
Oh, if that's the case, then Best is playing 5D chess, but I feel like it might be, attributing the to genius what can be attributed to,
yeah. So it's like
incompetence or something like that, right?
Type situation where we think that it's communicating with us flawlessly with sign language, but really it's probably not.
Maybe. Well, he's going to take advantage of his situation, of course. Getting this Reaver into the main base is going to be very difficult for Sharp to handle, and it's not a normal situation like we usually see. Oh my gosh, okay. That was a little bit of a mistake. I was about to say, even if this doesn't go well, Best is still in a great spot, but then it just goes horribly wrong. I still feel like Best is in a good position, though. Yeah. A couple of vultures get in. Doesn't get a huge amount of kills. Still 40 supply advantage. Double robo back at home. Best is cranking.
I don't know if that was luck or not, but honestly, that was really amazing tank positioning. It's almost like he predicted where the shuttle would go to unload to kill the turret, and he kept the tanks just barely out of range so they could just one-shot snipe the Reaver as it dumped out. If that's true, that's really high-level stuff from Sharp. If he meant to put the tanks like that for that reason.
Well, Best didn't need to drop the Reaver, right?
True.
he dropped he dropped the Zealot to tank the shot from the to eat the shot from the tanks. And then when the shots didn't come out, he still decided to drop the Reaver and gave the opportunity for Best to snipe that. So a little bit of both, right? A little bit of genius from Sharp and a little bit of mistakes from Best. But he's going to have to make 10 more mistakes like that before Sharp can really have a chance of coming back in this game, I think.
Yeah. And there's going to be so many shuttles made from Best as well. It's going to be a nightmare Gateway Man mode setup from him, probably. Ready to bulldog and bust Sharp the second he comes out and tries to secure a third base. And meanwhile, Best will probably just happily churn out units and macro up on these 3 bases while getting a greedy fourth. Well, not really a greedy fourth, to be fair. It's like 12-minute fourth is very standard timing. It's about, if anything, it's like late.
Well, a lot has gone on in this early game, and everything is going to be insanely late for Sharp, so I think a slightly later third and fourth, not the biggest deal. It's still way ahead of the curve compared to where Sharp is at. Triple shuttle, thinking about diving into the main, but a mine spotted that. So Sharp is completely ready in this main base.
He's just bugging out the turret with the whole position.
Bugging out the turret. Yeah. Move command onto the turret there. Getting it on top, bugging it out. Yeah, I think that's actually illegal in tournament play, or is it legal in tournament play? I'm not sure.
It used to be illegal in like Kesper days, but I'm not sure about the modern rules. I'm sure like most events these days actually allow it, or rather don't enforce it.
Maybe the case. Looks like Sharp gonna slowly push forward. He's got 5 facts. He's gonna do his best to get this third base online. It's tough. You kind of have to decipher your position here as Terran. Like maybe 6 fact could work if you're a little bit behind. It might be a good gamble to just try and get the quick win, but when you're this far behind, I think there's really no choice. You have to go for a long game and try to inch your way back out of this deficit over, 30 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. Ooh, be careful. Takes one big chunky hit on all those Dragoons. I mean, if one more mine had hit those goons, like you see like 4 or 5 dead goons instantly. You gotta be really careful with that. Sharp though, still lagging behind in everything, so needs to somehow find some lucky trades like that, like mines getting crazy hits on big clumps of units. Maybe then he can slightly get a power scale tipping in his favor enough to trade out well. But getting this 3rd base online will be a little bit of a daunting task for him.
Does start that 3rd base. He's now 2 bases behind, though. The top right is mining for Best. Sharp going to loop around and head towards that base. Best is scrambling to move to that location. He's got a lot of Dragoons down towards bottom center that are not going to be part of this fight, potentially. Right. That is a full force of Dragoons that might not be brought to bear, and maybe Sharp can beat half the army. I'm not sure. Here comes the attack. Bunch of shuttles coming in. There's only 2 Goliaths, and they're not targeting. Oh my gosh, he immediately kills the first Reaver. The second Reaver goes down. The Mark actually kills so many Templar. It's a Goldilocks engagement here for Sharp. Perfectly, everything went so well. The Dragoons over here at the natural can't really push in. They might be able to kill the command center, though.
Wow, super impressive stuff from Sharp. I don't know how he target fired down the Reavers and the Templar before they got any spells. Oh, he loses 1 Templar to that mine, but does manage to get the Sonic Storm off finally to start to clear up on IL5, but not cost efficient at all. Still with a 55 or so 50-ish supply lead. Has got a lot of shuttles still remaining in reserve, so needs to be careful, does Sharp still, but the pressure's now a little bit on Best.
Well, that was almost something there for Sharp, right? If he'd kept those tanks alive, then maybe he could have started to break open that base and force the probes to run. Got a bunch of kills on the run back to this 3rd base, but that mine just barely didn't connect in time. Just barely didn't connect on the Templar, and now he can't really push in with just a couple of Goliaths and a couple of Vultures. It's not going to happen, so he's going to have to resort to plan, I guess it's plan D at this point.
Right.
Take a 3rd base.
But those 3 or 4 Vultures did kill so many Zealots. Now another attack from Best, trying to get the job done. Hammering on the gates now, laying siege to the Terran play, getting on top of these siege tanks. So many Zealot bombs, and now Dragoons raining down face disruption shots. GG has to be typed from Sharp. 3rd base wasn't even finished yet, and Best was ready to close out the game. Insane stuff from our Gorilla.
그래도 상금이라도 타야죠. 90만 원 상금이 작은 건 아니거든요. 자, 데자뷰 김명훈 선수 나오네요.
네, 김명훈 선수와 도지혁 선수의 경기. 이거 약간 의외네. 이거 약간 의외네요. 자, 준비됐다. 콜 들어왔으니까 무엇이 의외인지. 자.
Let's see. Did they pop the bottles?
I was not looking at the screen for a sec.
Okay. They usually have those little poppers for when the all kill prize. Not when it gets taken, but when nobody can get it anymore. Then it's gonna go to the next.
It's them celebrating not having to pay out.
Yeah.
Yay! No one gets it.
All right. Let's keep it going.
이겼다는 거라서 자신감이 상당할 것 같고요. 김명훈 선수는 그래도 오늘 이겨내야죠. 왜냐면 김명훈 선수가 지금 5승 3패로 공동 1등이에요. 1등.
Well, with Sharp getting taken out, that all kill prize will go unclaimed once again. It's now going to be Queen versus Best, and neither of them will have the opportunity to take that 2 million won prize. It'll continue to grow. Maybe up to 2.5 million. Maybe it'll go all the way as high as 3 million. There've been seasons where that all kill prize has been claimed like 2 and 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
And it's, remained very low, around like 200,000 won. I think that's where it starts. 400,000 won is where it starts.
Something like that, yeah.
So this is a real outlier of a season.
Yeah.
For it to get this high is pretty crazy.
There's a lot of chunk of change out there in the middle of the table. A nice little stack of chips for one of these guys to take a dip and just drag it all over to themselves. All for them. But no one's been able to do it. No one's been able to win the pot.
Supposed to be a team game here at KCM, but yeah, only one person can take home that prize. It's a solo adventure. The all kill in KCM. Best gonna go and opt for a Nexus first, grabbing his Forge soon after. Queen has gone ahead with a Overpool, so he will have some Lings out here, possibly to pressure. Will Best have the cannons done in time? It's going to be close. He's ready to throw this down. It looks like he will get the cannon started. Is he going to opt for double cannon to hold this off, or is he going to pull a lot of probes? He may have to do both.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, he's not even really getting much of a slowdown with these Lings as well. Sometimes you can body block those Lings a little bit, slow them down by a couple of seconds, but wasn't able to really get that. So maybe they'll get in here and cause a little bit of a nuisance. We'll have to maybe pull a couple of probes to help slow this down. Hasn't decided to do that though, just one single probe to plug the gap. You might need 2 though, at least.
Oh my gosh, he's being so greedy with this. He only pulled the 1 probe.
Yeah.
He's gonna run by now into the main potentially. A little bit scary. He's gonna try to jump on top of the mineral line. The gateway's gonna finish up soon. Bit of an awkward situation. Rare position that we find Queen in.
Yeah.
Best is going to be blocking at the ramp. The run by tries to happen, but he's just going to lose the Lings. Not going to happen. Best has actually held this in the greediest way possible, and it's honestly working out beautifully.
It's kind of crazy. Yeah, your astute observation saying he basically like threaded the needle, like the bare minimum response. Like he did pull 3 probes, but only pulled 1 probe initially, then 2 for the ramp and to come down delayed. So really like pulling the absolute bare minimum needed there. Really well calculated. He definitely does have his bowler hat on today. You can say what you want, but this is definitely like thinking monkey rather than like, gorilla ape.
Best is going to continue his big brain plays, sending out the first Zealot to force even more Lings out of Queen. He built 6 early on, and had he those 6 Lings still remaining, he would have been able to kill this first Zealot, but since those went down to the cannon, he has to reproduce more Lings to deal with this next Zealot, and that's just what Best wants. More larvae traded into army rather than drones, and you may be able to trade out even more Lings for this next Zealot that's going to tuck itself behind the mineral patches, just be a nuisance back here.
Yeah. Sometimes you'll see Queen ignore these Zealots behind the minerals and like just leave a few Lings there to deal with that and block them in. But when it's got 2 holes like this, usually you won't see Queen go for that. He might be more likely to try and trade this out like most other Zergs would and try and just get, a 2-on-1 surround on both sides like he's doing now and clearing that up as efficiently as possible.
Well, it looks like he managed to get 1 Ling. I don't know how that made it over to the left-hand side there, but it did manage to get into a pretty good position, and getting rid of that Zealot reasonably efficiently is good. But the number of Lings that have had to be produced early on is going to hurt Queen long-term.
Yeah.
As macro starts to come online for Best, he's got the wall. He's going to have this Corsair out here soon. And Queen, I mean, what's this follow-up going to be? Just more hatches? A bunch of drones?
Probably.
His macro's actually flowing pretty well, despite all of the slowdown in the early game.
Right. Yeah, I imagine he will just be adding more hatcheries and drones, like you say. I don't think we'll see anything too crazy out of Queen from now. He may take a second guess about now, I think. Around 6 minutes, 6:20, he should maybe take a second guess if he wants to power up into tech. Or he might throw down more hatcheries and drones, I don't know. There's the second guess.
So the second gas starts, some Scourge may be made, but it's unlikely that we're going to see a big Mutalist transition. Still could happen, though, a little bit later on. You know, sometimes it's incredibly strong, and it's been like a proven good strategy when you're behind to... These Zerg players love to go for a bunch of Hydras, start to threaten Hydra play, and then suddenly pop out 10 mutas and just surprise the heck out of the Protoss and get a bunch of good snipes. You'll be looking for kills on those Corsairs, though, initially, as these Scourge fly around. If you can get 1 or 2 Corsairs killed off, then his Mutalist transition would be that much stronger. Here comes the initial Zealots into the natural, but the one Sunken Colony is going to finish up here soon, and doesn't want any part of that.
Yeah, and also tracking this straggler Zealot with the Scourge for a little while there, just making sure he didn't lose track of where that ended up after all said and done. Everything seems to be pretty chill here for Queen. He's just going to turtle up and then, you know, maybe pop. He might just be doing what you say, and like, you know, getting up to like a nice healthy count of 10 or so mutas and try and surprise Best and go for that sort of Ogre Zerg, bowl him over style while transitioning into 6-hatch Hydra after the fact.
Mutas are coming out a little bit earlier than I expected, actually, but this is only the initial 5, which is not that big of a commitment. Gonna come in with the Scourge.
Ooh.
Great connections there. Gets a Corsair kill. And one additional hit as well. Here comes some more Scourge. This is a real problem for Best. He's gonna be driven back. There's not enough Corsairs to stand and fight, so those will just have to run all the way back home. You can't do the Mutalist micro that can pick off Scourge as you're running away. He's going to have to retreat to those cannons, and so the Zealots will have to commit all the way into the main base. He gets 1 kill on a drone, and that is pretty much it. This is an excellent hold from Queen.
Yeah, really impressive stuff. The Queen of old as well. Like, once upon a time, this guy was absolutely dominant in this matchup for about a whole year, I think, where like he just pretty much was dominating everyone with his macro style. Haven't really seen that kind of version of him for a while, but recently he's been putting out a much more comfortable showing, and like today, seems to be on playing his A game. Needs to be careful with the fleet of Corsairs, though. This game can run away from him quickly if he lets his Scourge die for free, so wants to make sure he doesn't, like, you know, throw in Scourge willy-nilly here. Needs to make sure he maintains his air dominance by avoiding the Protoss when he needs to, and then just go in for one big swoop and snipe some of these critical units off.
Yeah, it's a very dangerous game, but he's going to get right up on top of these Corsairs. Can he get the moving shot? Looks like not. Going to be forcing these Corsairs back. He gets 1 Corsair. Okay, not bad. Not bad at all. The drone heads to top right, but it looks like Best is going to be searching for that, and he may be able to deny the 4th for now.
Yeah. It looks like Best going to be getting into a pretty standard game from here. He's got quite a strong amount of gateways already pumping out. I imagine we'll be seeing a pretty big push from him sometime soon, wanting to maybe both expand and also put on some pressure on the Queen, but he's a little bit annoyed by this Ogre Zerg fleet. It's only 5 mutas, but it doesn't really matter. It's still annoying. Like, not only do you have to run from the Scourge sometimes, but the mutas can chase you down and shoot you while you're running, so it kind of puts you into a bit of a checkmate scenario if you get caught off guard. So both players have to be very careful. There's like 2 glass cannons in the air right now.
Oh, really doesn't want to take this fight with all the Scourge just yet. There might be +1 actually done on these mutas. I didn't see. But that is going to make it a lot easier for Queen to connect as well. If he happened to get that upgrade. Hydras are coming out en masse. It is that 6-hatch Hydra play to follow up with the 4th base online. Queen is getting into his game, and it's starting to look very scary.
Yeah. I mean, this is him when he's playing his best. When you see him with this kind of setup, Best will probably feel like he has to do something. I imagine we'll be seeing a 3rd base from Best imminently, and maybe even some pressure. I don't think he wants to allow Queen to build up too much here. You can kind of let Queen get 4 bases, but then it starts to get a little bit scary anymore. Oh, he tries big dive it, gets a couple of Corsairs, but honestly not too many. Tries to snipe one of these high templars, is not able to do so. Pretty good control there from Best, avoids complete disaster, and honestly isn't looking too bad for our Protoss player.
That was a reasonable trade, but those were kind of outdated units. Queen didn't really need those Scourge and mutas anymore. He wanted to get whatever he could out of them, and he didn't really get much, but now he's got his Hydralisk production in full swing. He's going to have this 4th base online here in a moment, and he should have lurkers coming out relatively soon. Might, though, there is always that option, and I've seen it so much from Zergs recently, to build a whole bunch of mutas right now and go for more snipes, because Best may be letting his guard down at this point, thinking that, this is done, that you're not going to be building mutas any longer after I took those out. And then that can really shock the Protoss, and you could end up winning off of that, which is pure Hydra. All I see is Hydra. Okay, there are some mutas popping out. He might actually be doing this.
Yeah, snipe the High
How many
Templar,
mutas does he have?
You might be right. Just try and get enough mutas to snipe the High Templars and then go for a mass Hydra overrun, but I don't know. I mean, he's still got 4 Corsairs raining havoc. If he supply blocks Queen, that will be super annoying for him to have to deal with. But if he's already got the eggs underway and he's already got enough forces to deal with this, it won't be too big of an issue getting supply block just a little bit. But it is a bit of something he has to consider dealing with these Corsairs. He hasn't got anything to really clean these up, so they will eventually keep supply blocking him over and over again and pinning down some units to deal with that. So it is quite frustrating for Queen to have to deal with these Corsairs while setting up this attack.
Yeah, he's set up a huge concave of Hydras all along this top side, and he's going to take this fight, but Best has the high ground, and he has so many storms ready. I don't think that he can take this attack, even though he's got so many units. I think that might be a really big mistake if Queen tries to push in here.
Yeah. And he sees how many drones are hatching in this top right, so now he's probably thinking, okay, maybe Queen's not going to be going for any assault here, but that also means that there's pressure on me to eventually secure a 4th as well, because that means Queen will be expanding and more as time progresses. Best has built a pretty sizable force. He's not far from maxing out. He's going to be thinking about skirmishing head-on with Queen very soon here. These Corsairs have been a thorn in his side this entire time, still going to town.
Is still getting kills, and currently Queen supply blocked. He can't build any more lurkers, but he's used most of his money, he's used most of his gas. So he does have a pretty sizable army. A few more overlords pop out, and now he can get back to macroing. Has the 4th gas up in top right-hand corner as well. I didn't see a hive or anything like that, but he may be heading in that direction soon. Best going to take his whole army and send it up to top right. Queen was not ready for this, and he's actually backing up to high ground. Okay, Best turns his whole army around, seeing that Queen's going to go for a counterattack. He's heading in towards the natural. How many Templar can he snipe on this return journey? Best, if he's not paying attention, he could lose a lot, but instead, Queen's not paying attention, and he is going to lose a bunch of his Hydras. A lot of lurkers are pushing forward, but he's getting completely surrounded. These storms are really, really good at eliminating tons and tons of these Hydras, and the Dragoons are coming from behind, wiping out the lurkers. Could this have gone worse for Queen? No. He's losing everything.
This is terrible. That's why I was saying, oh no, earlier. I was like, he's going to lose everything. His whole army is boxed in. The only way out was through. He should have just busted through the wall and gotten on top of the Protoss production line and defended from the high ground. At the very least, he would have traded out better. Maybe did some more damage. That was not the good trades he was looking for at all. Beautiful storms from Best as a follow-up as well. Blanketing down these rallied units. He's trying to kill as many of these Dragoons off as he can, because he knows that if the Protoss goes on a counter-attack right now, the high Dragoon count, he's in danger. He needs to kill as many of these Protoss siege units as possible so that Best can't get a good assault going.
Oh my goodness, so much damage from these storms. Best still having a very good count of Dragoons. The macro from Queen is undeniably good. Like, he's got way more Hydras than most other players would, but is still throwing a water balloon against the wall. Everything is just splashing down. The blood of these Hydras saturating the ground on this space tile set.
Yeah.
Or is this space? This is not space.
No,
this is
Twilight.
a different tile set. Twilight, there
yeah.
it is. But regardless, Best is going to be taking a 4th base, and I don't think there's anything that Queen can do about it. It's not like Best can push in and just kill right now, most likely. Queen has been macroing like a god. He has a bunch of units back here. But he is going to be coming down from high ground. Let's see what Best can do from this high ground position. Can he actually push into the rally point of Queen?
Yeah, I'm not so sure. I mean, Queen is kind of still on Battle Zerg right now. Like, he's just pure Hydra, and this is not, super optimal. This will get worse and worse for him the longer this goes on. So if Best can, secure a 4th base, he's looking absolutely great. And if he... Ooh, lurker block on the ramp here. Might buy him enough time.
Ooh, and he counterattacked center left, by the way. He killed the 4th, prevented that from coming up from Best. Great storm there in the middle of all these lurkers. The block with the egg and the overlord over top of the egg was pretty slick. I'm not sure if it's going to buy him enough time, though. As Best is chasing down this army, lurkers are going to have to spread pretty quickly so that they don't get taken out too easily by these storms. Pretty good spreading. 1 observer, 2 observers go down, 1 observer remains.
Yeah, I mean, pretty good spreading. Any spreading is good spreading. One of the biggest issues of Zerg players is when they reposition their lurkers, they don't bother to resplit them. They just borrow them all on top of each other, and they get stormed into oblivion. Sometimes 4-for-1 deals, not efficient at all. But so far, this is looking okay for Queen. He's weathered the storm, pun unintended. He just doesn't have the tech transition yet. He's still only on Battle Zerg mode. So if Best does get this 4th online, he's looking really strong and dominant. But Queen has done a good job of counterattacking enough to slow this 4th down as well.
He's managed to keep that 4th base. It's just an idea here for Best. Best is going to have to handle this little bit of a counterattack coming across, but his army has just gotten so big. It's so gross. Like, we haven't been able to destroy the bulk of the army, and so 187 supply from Best. That army is going to be so hard to stop if he brings it all together and forces a direct engagement.
Yeah. Pretty good attempt here from Queen, diving forward, trying to get some of these critical High Templar snipes. It is a very tight choke down here, also counterattacking at that 4th, not able to get the delay on this 4th base yet again, though. This tight little choke does make it efficient for Best to storm him into oblivion, though. Needs to be careful about that. That's why he's desperate in coming in, sniping some of these critical High Templar units. Trying now to get back into his 3rd base of Best. Is a very tight choke here indeed, though. But only 3 cannons, he might be able to push the issue and get down in here.
Is trying to force the engage from Best, forcing him to run through the lurkers, but Best loops around into the natural and down to this 3rd base and is able to secure that, keep that alive, send some more Templar reinforcements to that position, but his supply has been lowered a lot. His engagements have been pretty good from... Oh god, this engagement though is not good. He didn't split the lurkers this time. It was doing so well with that earlier, but this time all the lurkers get... spam down with those spells, and the Dragoon army pushing through all of this. The backbone of the Protoss force is still alive and standing strong. Counterattack coming over towards the center left for Queen is going to buy him some time, but it's not going to help him win this game.
Yeah.
It will be cleaned up here shortly. He really does need something more to this army to take out what Best is bringing forward. Is there a hive? I don't think so.
I mean, the one thing going for Queen is that Best just got mined out on his main and natural, so now it is temporarily going to be like 3.5 base Zerg to like 2 base Protoss for some time. Maybe he can just barely get enough juice out of the orange to keep fighting Best, but so far Best has done a great job of maintaining the game state where he wants it to be. He's traded out cost efficiently enough, and with this donut shaped ring in the center of the board, it does make it easier to choke up these Zerg units for storming.
This raised platform has been a real problem from the get-go for Queen. He's going to send lurkers over to this high ground. Again, not spreading out very well, though, and could eat some massive storms if Best were to push the issue. Looks like he's going to back up for now. But Queen is struggling to keep this game scrappy so that his layer-based play can be effective. That's really what's necessary.
Absolutely.
For Zerg in this position. You gotta keep it low supply. You have to keep pushing the Protoss player and preventing them. Oh, this is pretty smart. He's gonna get the lurkers in between the natural and the 4th, and then he's gonna hit this base with his Hydras. There's only a few storms here. 2 storms go down, 3 storms go down. He's doing a lot of damage to the Hydras, but Best is not pulling the trigger. He's not taking the bait. He's going for the natural. These lurkers are really not going to be useful. at all. Queen having all the lurkers over there in the center left, waiting for that army to retreat. Nothing back at home to help deal with this full-on push into his natural, though.
This is great decision making from Best. He knows there's no way he would have been able to save that fourth base, so better just to go on the counter attack instead. Queen is going to be able to coming up at his top left quadrant and cut off the other base that was going off up there as well. Best, though, is only sending a couple of units into the main, and the rest are now going to be going to the third base, where he knows there probably is still going to be more drones and way more hatcheries of production to kill. So don't waste too much time going into the main base here. Instead, kill the production line, get all the drones before they can get transitioned out. This is looking ideal for Best. He's getting a lot of value with his push.
Ooh, if Queen had just transferred those drones a little bit earlier, his position would have been markedly better. Getting that other base going in top right, he doesn't really have that much tech to replace, right? But the loss of all of these hatcheries is brutal.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, losing all the drones as well, it might not be possible to come back from this spot. I mean, Queen is going to sit here and try to hold top right, and this could be an interesting situation as Best tries to take another base. He's actually going to be blocked, I think, over there at center left again. Plus, there's so many lurkers here, it's going to be hard. That is so many Templar, my god! What am I even looking at right now?
And Queen is trying to challenge it. He's saying, you can't be that greedy. I'm going to get in there and punish some of these High Templars. But storm those Hydras, it's crazy on their efforts. Now, though, trying to flood with some additional Hydras. He's trying to burn through as many of the storms as possible. I'm not sure if he's done a good enough job. There's such a large contingency of Dragoons to rain down phase disruption shots of what little is left here for Queen. Supply is now plummeted sub 70. This is getting dangerous now. Less than half the supply of Best. He is dwarfing him in size, and he's still hammering on the gates. It's looking worse and worse for Queen here.
Yeah, the dodges on the storms are reasonable, and actually, wait a second. Every Dragoon suddenly dies at the end of that fight. Kind of funny how beefy the Protoss army looks, and then how flimsy it looks when it actually falls apart.
Yeah. But he's got like +3 armor, so it looks really strong for a while, but then eventually dies.
Yeah. Best, I mean, he did a lot of damage there. He pushed pretty heavily. He's going to drive on top of these lurkers. The lurkers actually get some great spines out, though. The storm is well dodged. I don't think the Queen can prevent the fourth, but maybe he can harass it a little bit somehow. I'm not sure how he can get over there, though.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this is it's 450 supply now for Queen. I mean,
48.
It's so rough. It's so rough. He can't get these counterattacks going like he could used to, and like stop the expansions of Best. He's trying desperately now to sneak his army out, but Best is going to catch him.
Yeah, catching that army, and there's hardly anything in top right to actually defend. So as his army comes up and Best gets the natural online again, I just don't see how Queen can bring this one back. 50 supply to 100.
Yeah.
It would be the
Well, if
run back of the century if he managed to do it, though.
If he somehow did delay this fourth, it'd be okay because Best now just got mined out and he wouldn't be mining, and we'd be on 2 base, and that would be recoverable. But the problem is that Best just barely got this fourth online at the right time. If he didn't have this base right now, this would be okay because he wouldn't be mining at all. But unfortunately, Best did just barely get this fourth online at the critical moment.
For sure, and now there's High Templar and Storms landing on all of these Hydra. That's so many Storms, my god. Storm is a good unit. And these Lurkers are going to get cleaned up by the Dragoons. That's the end of the army from Queen, and GG is called. Best takes another game for the Protoss player. Looking pretty good right now. Stork's still in the background as well, but Light's going to come out next. Pretty convincing win there for Best, but can he go the full distance?
Alright, I'm going to take a quick bio break. I need to slash and get some more water.
Okay, sounds good.
Be right back. Yeah, I'm back. What's up, Ace, Post Malone, and Max, if you're still here? Hey, Best is cool even if you're not a Tusk fan. He's the best around.
Yo.
Yo. What it do, boo boo?
Best looking kind of nice right now.
Yeah. Looking pretty strong.
All right, let's go.
해도 되는 정도로 재밌는 매치업이 나왔어요 지금.
여러분, 제가 딱 한마디 할까요? 도재욱 선수의 최근 2지호전 뼈에 사무치는 경기가 종치에서 나왔었어요.
Okay, Light versus Best here on Radeon. Should be an excellent match. This is one of those matches where I would have been extremely excited about maybe like 2 years ago. I'm not as excited to see Light play anymore, but I really do feel like Best maybe has kind of outdone him recently, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we'll see Light pull out an insane game here and actually crush Best in a long one.
Yeah, I mean, I want you to be wrong, saying, but you might be right. I mean, Light is an absolute god in terms of his knowledge about the game, but he's not always the best at his execution in the game. Although, if you do let him get into the late game, he has some of the best decision making of all time. It's just, you know, players sometimes can, you know, outwit him in that mid game phase, and players like Best are the, you know, no pun intended, best in the business at that mid game phase where they just like wait for one small mistake or you thinking that you're strong enough in your setup and he still manages to just bowl you over anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Light, for sure, one of the best players at late game decision making, strategizing, definitely his strong suit. A player that you want in your corner if you're, for example, playing like a TVP or TVZ in the SSL, right? You want to be calling on Light for some advice how to actually approach that matchup and
Absolutely.
what to do. He's a great coach is what I'm trying to say, but maybe kind of falling off a little bit. I hate to say it, but I'm going to say it. And Best is just peaking at the present day. He is so strong right now. Even though he hasn't won an SSL, I really do feel like he's one of the best Protoss players in the world.
Yeah, he's like the people's champion in that regard. He hasn't actually got the belt, but it doesn't really matter. Like, he still kind of wins your heart at the end of the day with his play. And I'm happy, and I'm here to stay and watch more and more great games from this great ape.
Well, a Marine gonna come in for pressure. This almost looks like a pressure from, you know, a Terran player versus a Zerg, with the first Marine coming over and just forcing the probe off the line, but rallying directly across into a Zealot doesn't seem like the best decision.
No, maybe not. We'll have to see. And pulling the boys as well. Okay. Okay.
We've seen just the one gateway. And this is some uber greed from Best, so maybe he gets completely destroyed by this.
Ooh.
Light gonna just go for it, try to do as much damage as possible with the follow-up Vulture coming behind this. Oh no, the Marine is actually not being blocked. Oh, he didn't go for the finish.
Yeah.
He didn't go for the third attack. That's so crazy, and he only gets 2 hits on that second Marine as well. He could have killed one of those.
He could have.
And nearly killed the second, but this is looking really scary now, and Best's just going to pull everything, going up onto the high ground.
You have to sacrifice
It's
the
an
Nexus.
awkward, yeah. awkward situation here, but Best still should be okay.
The logic from Protoss here is we evacuate the natural expansion because we still get some production time from this Nexus. We built a few probes of it. As long as we don't lose those probes, we're still okay in terms of worker count. So we evacuate the natural, sacrifice that, and just, you know, go back to one base versus one base and try and take a worker lead. He did also pull his SEVs to attack us, so all that lost mining time adds up as well. So when all said and done, the Protoss isn't feeling too bad about the game state, even though it is annoying here.
Yeah, coming up into the main base is crazy, though.
Wow.
He pulled his SCVs back. He didn't bring the SCVs up here into the main, so that's a little bit crazy. Definitely going to want to pull back from that absolute disaster of an attack up the ramp. You never really want to do that, that type of attack. Killing the Nexus and then just getting back to work is the best you can really hope for here as Light.
I was kind of surprised by that. I did not expect him to try and challenge the high ground, especially like you say about like committing with the boys as well. That was a little bit interesting from Light, maybe trying to, you know, bite off more than he can chew there. Unfortunately, does slow down the natural expansion for Best while getting his own up. So if Best can't, you know, bust out and do some punishing damage after the fact, then Light might be, you know, sitting pretty and feeling happy. He's even rolling out the tank all the way over here to see if he can get some slowdown and trade going, utilizing this bunker position with the mines and being really annoying to Best here.
He gets the bunker, though, and now he can kind of just sit back. Doesn't need to come down this ramp just yet because he can't really fight against the mines anyway. Just stay up here on the high ground and wait for an observer to come out, and then he should be able to push this back. If Light loses the tank during this attack, he's going to be in a bit of trouble. So hopefully he's going to pull that back in time. He just wants to try his best to force as much damage onto this as possible. Oh my gosh. This Vulture going to find the base? Ninja expansion at 6. I thought he might actually spot that, though. He checked bottom right for a Ninja expansion, but didn't check 6 o'clock, and Best just happens to have a base, so that is crazy.
I mean, this is exactly what you need as Best. This is the one way you don't hate this position even more, right? Like, this would be super annoying if we didn't have this Ninja base down at 6. So now suddenly this game becomes much more playable for Best, and Light's not as pretty as he originally looked. I mean, it's still a pretty good position for Light. You can see he's already been mining on this natural for some time, and Best hasn't even got this base finished up down here and can't transfer probes to it easily. So there's that as well to be said. He could maybe use a shuttle or something, but for the time being, it does look a little bit more Light favored. Now Best finally clears this out. We'll take this base. So that does put him up at 3 bases, so maybe when all said and done, if he can escort these probes down here to this base, it would be okay.
That's a lot of probes heading out on the map. He can't see it with the mine. He has no idea that probes are going to be transferred down to 6 o'clock. That's a huge win for Best.
Yeah, if he doesn't see it, that's good.
Generally, you're going to be double expanding after a situation like this. As Best, you want to immediately move out and take second Nexus at the 3rd, and so Light might be feeling a little confused. Well, he might be when he sees that there's nothing heading over to that 3rd.
He might be thinking it's some sort of like DT drop or something coming his way. He might be a little bit more cautious, thinking, hang on a minute, what is going on? What have you done? Like, what tech have you taken with this money? There's money out on the map that doesn't make sense, so he's a bit confused. There's definitely enough hundreds of minerals that are missing that he's going to be a little bit on edge, wondering what's coming his way, when really it's just a bit of an economic cheese play here from Best.
Oh, I wish Best would finish this pylon wall on the high ground. That would be so bad if the Vultures just came down there and killed every probe. He does build that. Vultures are going to move around the outside, and he sees now that the Dragoons are coming down to clear this, but he's, going to be so confused. He's going to send his Vultures down to bottom right, I think, to actually check for another Nexus down there.
Yeah, I think so. He's super confused. He's wondering what is going on. There's no ninja base, there's no hidden tech, so what is going on? He's super confused.
Well, coming out to put on some pressure is generally a pretty good idea. When you don't know what your opponent's doing, forcing them to reveal their hand will allow you to adapt properly. Sitting back at home and just wondering what your opponent is doing may not be the best choice. So he's going to come in and put this pressure on, try to take this fight. One tank goes down, one tank targeted by Best. Quite a few Dragoons have fallen, though, and this is going quite well for Light. More units are going to come down from the north. He's trying to pincer this. and might be able to clear out all these mines and then chase down the tanks. The tanks are slow.
Ooh.
Could possibly get on top of this. Dude, he may lose all these tanks. These vultures are going to come running forward once again. Few more mines get thrown out with some of these fresh vultures, but I guess the number of dragons is not high enough. Here he goes diving on another tank. Can he get all of them?
Almost got a second one there. Yeah, not too bad. Still a couple of mines laying in the way. He's going to get them all. He's going to get them all for sure. There are 2 vultures coming out to try and assist on this, but it's not going to be good enough. They're actually going to go for a run by instead, but the hole's already been plugged, so no compensation damage for his effort. Oh, he gets through anyway.
Wait, what? That was not a complete wall. Oh my gosh, and he might get a huge connection with the mine. No. Pulls back just in time. Whew, that was really, really close. 1 tank down in bottom left is just going to go hide up on high ground, it looks like.
Yeah.
Managed to make it away from those dragoons while Best was paying attention in the natural. So, I mean, he might end up scouting 6 o'clock with that tank. That would be really funny to see the 1 tank walk down into that position, but maybe that could happen. This 3rd Nexus is coming up. 4th Nexus, in fact. 3rd Nexus to Light's Eye, but I'm sure he is he's extremely confused. Like, he's going to have to look back at this replay later on and just smack himself in the head for not finding that base.
I mean, it's the one spot he hasn't really checked. It's just so crazy that he hasn't put this together in his brain. Unfortunately for him, the light has been dimmed just enough that he hasn't got the vision, unfortunately, to see this play from Best. And he's expecting some other kind of shenanigans, and he hasn't managed to clock it.
It's crazy. 3rd base is going to come up now. Light. He's going to try and take this one long, but this is very tough. Best is going to be pressuring, and he still just doesn't know where he's at in this game. He can't really calculate any moves properly because he just doesn't know how much his opponent has.
So he can't even utilize his skill set anymore because the things that he's good at, which is his decision making in this mid to late phase, he doesn't even know what the game state is exactly. So he's kind of operating in enough of a gray area that Best should be able to exploit him here.
Absolutely. A ton of gateways just came online in Best main, and we all know what that means. A huge round of Zealots will be coming out soon. Yeah, he gets a scan in here, and he sees the number of gateways. He has to know now.
How can you afford all those gateways?
How can you afford that? Yeah, you've got to be on 4 bases, right? It just doesn't make sense. And so, bunch of Zealots going to come to the front. I think 1 to 2 more rounds of Zealots, and Best just goes for the bust here. That's what it's looking like to me.
Yeah, although Light, if he does wall up the bridge with a few depots, maybe Best might think better of it and take another base instead. It depends on how well turtled Light is. If he doesn't turtle up enough, I imagine Best will still just pull the trigger here.
So many Zealots, man. That is so many Zealots. He's gonna go for it.
There's not enough.
I don't think there's enough either. That's an okay position, but against this much stuff, I mean, the gorilla, the silverback has charged. He's gonna pull everything into this front line, sending in the Zealots after all the mines get cleaned up. Is going to be crushing through these forces, even though there's a ton of vultures still left over. Only the tanks on the high grounds are truly safe right here, and he can just go straight in.
Yeah,
sending the Dragoons down to the 3rd to start to clear that out and make an even worse position for Light to try and fight back from.
Yeah, the Dragoons rotating to the 3rd is the biggest annoyance here because it's just such a long distance to travel down here to defend with tanks, and then you're exposing them to the rally point units coming across as well. SCVs have to come off the line to deal with this. The Zealots did get body blocked a lot by those Dragoons initially, so it wasn't the best attack here from Best, pun unintended. Again, it's so hard not to make those puns, and he is trading off so many of these tanks, though it doesn't really matter. He's done the job. So many gas units from Light have been evaporated. He won't have the tank count that he needs anymore going forward in this game. So Best has done what he set out to do and has crippled the tank count of Light, but Light might just barely have enough gas in the tank to go on a bit of counter aggression here. Who knows?
Oh, I think that would be a very big mistake. Pushing out right now against Best, I think would be like the death of Light. So sitting
do
back a little bit and like trying to set this defense back up again. Oh my goodness, he's gonna push.
Yeah, he thought so.
Watch these Templar very closely, guys, because wherever they end up getting sent, that's where Best is heading, and I think it's gonna be right on top of this army. That's so many zealots, and the storms are gonna be available here in a moment. The moment that they are ready, you know, Best is gonna pull this trigger, and sparks are going to fly.
Wow. This is
Another round of units coming out, and
like-
Bass is ready to crack this.
It's like Beyblades of like industrial grade steel. It's going to be a lot of sparks indeed. Saying, here we go. So many Zealots streaming and not even that many Dragoons. You don't need to. You just need to slam him with so many speed Zealots while Storm's coming out of the shuttle to blanket those Terran units with Silent Storms. That was so well done from Best thus far. More and more rally units coming from Light to try and help out. But 90 supply to 140. I think Best has just barely, not actually gotten through the line there with those rally siege tanks come in, so the supply is not too bad for Light. I mean, not the best either, but honestly, this is okay for Light. This is playable.
Oh, he's
Finds
scammed. He sees 600 minerals on one of those patches, and he knows.
He's probably
He
got
knows
results.
he's been bamboozled this game, and winning this would be absolutely crazy if he's able to pull this one back from not seeing that base for as long as he did. So he's going to move things down here. He's going to try and make a go out of it, but you know that he's tilted at this point.
Yeah.
That is just such a tilter. When you get the scan off at this point, just see how much minerals has been mined.
I mean,
It
it's a
throws you
double-edged-
for a loop.
It's a double-edged sword. It makes you feel better in the sense like, oh, I'm not as bad as I thought I was, but it makes you feel annoyed
Right.
that if you had just scanned it, you would have been all right the entire time. Now,
Yeah.
what can you do?
Yeah, you can't really do much. I mean, attack down into that base, but you're going to leave a bit of a hole back at home, a possibility for your opponent to push into. And actually, he baits the army to come up to try and rejoin with the rest of Light's force, and he catches this small army that was headed down here. Oh my gosh, how many probes can he actually get? He kills the pylon while the probes are going to make a run for it. Storm on his own Nexus. I don't know what that was all about, but he managed to pull some of these probes out. 4 probes still alive.
Yeah.
They've done their jobs, though. They have definitely cleaned up a lot of these mineral patches.
Absolutely. The majority of that base has been mined out mineral-wise. It's really great indeed for Best. He's not too upset. Although, maybe if he can get some more further on damage, if he can kill more probes at more bases and keep harassing Best, kill High Templars here and there, eventually he might put himself into a comfortable game state, especially if he can get this 4th online. But that is the big if. Like, getting the 4th online is such a challenging task here for Light. There's no center board to secure for your mineral only 4th, and it's such a long distance to these other gas expansions to take a 4th base. It does expose you so exponentially as Terran to branch out and take them. You really do need to be winning fights to come out and take that, and he hasn't been doing so. So now 110 supplied to 180. It's very daunting indeed to try and get out here on this map and take an expansion.
He's going to throw in a dropship towards that main base. Maybe use the confusion of Best while he's dealing with that to potentially push forward and take that 4th. I think he'll take the 4th over at 12 o'clock, taking it behind his push as he's moving towards the natural of Best, but I'm not sure how successful that will be. It'll give Best so much surface area to come in, so many angles for Best to attack into that 12 o'clock. It's crazy what kind of a concave you can get with your zealots coming in on this map. It's just so wide open in the middle.
Yeah. I mean, we see a bit of gambit, like you say, with these drops. Maybe. Oh, almost got a splash over the wall. Got one of those probes. Would have been cool if he got more. I mean, it's something, but it's not enough yet. We need to see some more light at the end of the tunnel for our Terran player here. He hasn't been his usual self as of late. Hopefully he can find himself at the end of his journey and come into a stronger late game. He's still trying to harass with these vulture drops and be a little bit annoying here, but I'm not sure if this is going to be giving him enough value for his effort.
It's really putting in a lot of effort to putting in some damage there at the natural for just picking off a couple of probes to a max supply Protoss player. It's not really impactful, and he's going to be taking more bases down towards the bottom right. It's time for Light to move. He unsieges everything at 134 supply. He's below the kind of threshold amount of army to be able to push out against a max supply army. And oh my god, this is about the worst engagement from a Terran player you've ever seen in your life. Completely overwhelmed and destroyed. There's only been about 20 supply lost for Protoss, where Light is losing even more and has less. Zealots coming in. Looks like the Dragoons will be able to clear out all of these few remaining tanks, along with the Zealots jumping on top of this, rolling up Light into the natural. GG is called. A little desperation attack there at the end. But Light, I mean, it was truly the hidden base which sunk him in this game.
Absolutely insane. And 140 supply is only going to survive defensively as well, usually against a maxed army. So having to move out is nothing he can really do. Instead, we're going to be having either a Soul Key versus Best as one of our final games here.
처음부터 생더블을 했고 첫 서치를 당할 때부터 나는 버릴 거야. 이미 들어간 설계.
All right.
1초 1초 놓칠까 봐 진짜 계속 더 집중해서 보게 되고.
아니 근데 막 지난번에
Solkey, the final Zerg player of the night, coming out as Light bites the dust, and Terran goes quietly into that dark night.
종체는 정말 게임 잘한다.
There have been seasons before Shun where Terran just looked like an absolute just destroyer, like unstoppable behemoth, Terminator. But this season, maybe not so much. It really does feel like Zerg is starting to take that mantle.
Yeah. I mean, even players like Sanctuary have really been stepping up to the plate. I mean, you have to say, obviously, Soul Key is Soul Key, and he's an absolute god of a man. A Broodwar of the Zerg race now, it seems, with his triple back-to-back title, winning SSL 3 times in a row. And it does seem like, with some of these other guys also stepping up to the plate, Zerg is just looking a monstrous beast to contend with indeed. And the other races haven't really been as confident as their usual selves, maybe in seasons past.
Well, stepping into this game, Solkey is expected to win, right? Best and Stork. Neither of them are supposed to be able, and haven't previously been able to hold a candle to this guy, but it wasn't always the case, right? Solkey was beatable in previous years. Like before his ASL run, a 3-time ASL champion in a row. Before that time, he was not quite the monster that he is today. Maybe Best can find the chinks in the armor, although I just haven't seen them from Solkey. This Solkey, the one that we have as of late.
Yeah. Seems both players are going to be going for very standard macro style builds. Forge fast, expand from Best. That's going to pan out well, especially being cross map, so won't be upset about that at all. Is going to be able to optimize and make a gateway pretty early on here. He's going to be, I'd imagine, pretty comfortable finding out that he's cross map now, and happy that he went for Forge fast, expand. And I'm sure Solkey doesn't mind just getting his 3 bases without any blocks or things to worry about. So both players undeterred in their build orders thus far.
That's an interesting position on the gateway.
Yeah.
Usually when you try to do something like the position kind of like this is you want to have the forge near to the cannon so that you can potentially defend that easily with your cannons against the Hydros bust. It almost looks like bait sitting out there like, yeah, come on, Hydra bust me. You can get this forge for free, Solkey. Come on, buddy. Yeah, it's really unusual to have the forge out so Terran's so undefendable.
It's almost like a bait. Like you want him to go for like a 973 fake or
That's
something.
what I'm saying. Yeah, it seems like that, but we'll see. I guess it's hard. I mean, that's one of those things where it's like sometimes you might get what you asked for. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, maybe, and he just punishes you anyway. You just get Hydra Bust and die.
yeah. Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah. Usually it comes down to response from Protoss. If their cannons are on time, the probe pulls on time, they'll still be okay, but sometimes you can't always rely on those reaction speeds and your decision tree to be perfect. Ooh, be careful you don't lose this probe.
Probe gonna stay alive for the time being. Layer on the way. And so he's not gonna pull the trigger on some sort of 3-hatch Hydra.
Right.
That is just going to be a normal transition with some Spire units.
Oh,
slipping
no way.
by the probe. Really? That's crazy. Probe goes down, but oh no, wait, the probe's still alive. Okay, now it goes down. Really? It's still alive. Damn, that thing's slippery.
Yeah.
Got his skates on. Freaking Gretzky probe there. Just nobody can hit him.
Hitting that gritty on the way into the main base. Really impressive stuff.
Well, now that that's been cleaned, Soul Key has been completely revealed. Best knows what's coming. And he's not going to have to worry about losing that forge. So he starts, he's got the +1 on the way. That's going to be fine for him for now. He's only got the one hole in the wall as well. So sending out a Zealot onto the map, just looking for an opportunity to maybe sneak in. That Zealot on the right-hand side is actually completely unscouted. So this Zealot is going to buy time while that other Zealot gets in.
Yeah.
The Ling speed is allowing him to really surround this, but it's so hard to get the surround on the Zealot as it tries to run away. And Solkey's spending so much attention trying to pin that down. He doesn't see this Zealot coming in. He may end up losing a drone.
Oh, yeah, even just the lost mining time's annoying enough. But if he loses a drone as well, there's one drone kill. That's a big deal. The lost mining time's already super painful, but losing a drone on top of it is almost too much to bear. It also tucks that Zealot behind that mineral line to trade out as well as possible on some Zerglings. And now the Corsair's even getting a potential pick on one of these Overlords and supply blocking Zolki. This is starting to get a little bit annoying.
Yeah, the god can bleed, it seems. Oh god, no! He loses a Corsair. Wait, hold up, Best.
The phone. And this other one's not out of
Playing
yet.
almost perfectly up until this point, and now just made one of the biggest mistakes of his life. What was that?
Yeah. And luckily there's more vision range on this Corsair, so he was able to change the escape vector on that, so you should be able to avoid the pair of Scourge that are making their way downtown into Best base. Shouldn't lose that second Corsair, but really great to get. Oh! Makes one connection.
Very tempting right now to go into an Ogre Zerg play. He has his second gas. Will he take a third? He does sort of sunken colony, which is a little bit indicative of potentially... Oh, there it is. Third gas. Yep. He's going to go for some big Mutalisk plays. Try to get in there. Maybe, with overwhelming Scourge number, the Ogre Zerg play is going to be coming out this game.
Absolutely, saying he's going to be really pulling the trigger on that. Zealot run by, though. Going to see if he can get some work done. Tries to slip into the main, sees the Mutalisk pop out of the eggs as well. Maybe getting a couple of drone kills in the main base while also identifying this threat would be ideal. Has one Zealot waiting in the natural expansion, trying to exploit that. Good response, though, from Sulky. Splitting off a few of his Zerglings. We'll maybe lose one drone in the main, but that's about it. So when all said and done, not too bad. Best does buy some time to put down some defenses back at home and identify what's coming out from Sulky. But Sulky's looking really healthy in his drone count while doing this. Doesn't need to all in with an Ogre Zerg style by any means. Can just, put on some pressure while still macroing here into 6-hatch Hydra.
Absolutely. Could just change over to the 6-hatch Hydra. He sees the DT over there at the center right. Gonna react to that. Heading back with those mutas, and I'm not really seeing a whole lot more mutas coming out, so maybe he will indeed switch into Hydralist production, get some lurkers going and all that.
I think so.
A lot of probes here for Best. He's macroing well. Sometimes it's better to just have the probes, right? If you just keep pumping out probes or keep pumping out drones and you're not able to, for whatever reason, send them to work, at least you've got them for the long term, right?
Yeah, because like even if you oversaturate your bases, you can eventually expand and send them to mines. So it's good to keep churning out as much of your economy as possible, even if it's suboptimal for the time being. Pretty good catches from Sulky, whittling down the Corsair count. Will still be able to isolate one of these overlords and get the kill on that. Some Scourge coming out to try and get the Corsairs, though. One goes down, now only 4. They will be overrun by those by the Scourge. Now the Corsairs just down to 3 and on low HP as well. Yellow HP on like 2 of those Corsairs at least. So will be able to catch these with the Mutas and Scourge soon if he wanted to. I'm surprised he actually didn't jump on them with the Mutas. He just maybe didn't assume that 2 are already on low HP because he could have killed all 3 there.
I bet that Sulky's going to be making another round of Mutas right now. That would be my assumption. Coming in to kill off a few probes. Does have to back off as the Corsairs start to chase this. More Scourge are coming up. He's pulling out all of the Mutas, and the Scourge are going to connect on some of these Corsairs for sure. Let's see if he can get those connections. He should be able to wipe out the entirety of the Corsair fleet. And with those Corsairs all going down, Mutas are going to be on the table once again.
Yeah, he needs to have pretty good manual move commands with those Scourge, and he does find it. Pretty impressive stuff from Sulky. He's not really missing a beat right now, doing just what he needs to stay ahead in the curve of this game. So far, the ebb and flow is definitely favoring him. Best feels a little bit of pressure and now knows the onus is on him to make something happen. He's going to be moving out with his army at this mid-game timing. This is when Protoss are at their strongest in this matchup, is during the mid-game phase. This is where everything is to play for the Protoss player, and the Zerg can be on the back foot, but you need to hit your beats as Protoss, and if you get whittled down like this, it becomes harder and harder if he picks off critical gas units over and over again.
Catching that one Dark Templar, he's going to look for more Templar snipes. There's the big round of Mutas. I knew it. This is Sulky. It's got Sulky written all over it. As soon as all the Corsairs get taken out, and with that absolutely fantastic Scourge control, he's able to make it happen. Now he can dive in and kill every single Templar, and this pure Hydralisk Ling force will go completely uncontested. Every Templar gets taken out. Oh, perfectly done here by Sulky, and Bess is on full retreat mode.
Yeah, I mean, this is rough. There's so many Mutalisks that he will be able to one-shot the High Templars, so he has to pull everything back and restabilize and deal with these Mutalisks before he can move out again. This is full crisis mode now for Best. If this army gets caught out in the field, he's just done for. He needs to retreat. And some of the army has been isolated off to the natural base, so maybe Sulky can come in and wedge between it. Best now trying to join forces and arc together, trying to push the Zerg back, but Muta's coming in to help the Hydras. The trade will favor the Zerg. Maybe some rallied High Templars can come out and tip the scales to the Protoss favor. So far, Sulky's getting the better end of it, but Best with big macro cycles trying to fight back the Hydra force, but not successful so far in doing so. The Mutas are just helping out so much on the north. The Zealots are doing a good job on the south, but the Mutas have been chunking through these Dragoons in reserve. Somehow Best is fighting it back with just pure Dragoon Zealot, but eventually is starting to lose the fight.
Yeah, and the fight is truly lost at this point. Even Supply and Sulky can pump out so many more units. Best sitting here on 2 bases, and he's going to be contained over in his natural. Good God, does Sulky ever look like an absolute beast? Like, all the things that he's doing in this game, they look so smooth and easy, and he makes Zerg look so broken, but there's so much difficulty to what he's doing, and he just makes it look so easy. The way he sniped the Corsairs with the Scourge especially, those are the dumbest, in my opinion, the dumbest units in the game. To try and make them connect with anything is near impossible, and he just made it work.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong, saying very astute. Yeah, he's basically a jazz musician, really professional. He makes it look easy, but it certainly is not. And just look at how fluent he is with his control and how the Hydras move in and out. Everything is just so fluid, and he doesn't even do it with as high speed as some of these other guys. Some of these other guys are like 400 plus APM to get worse results. He's on like 300, 350, and he's getting getting better results, so much more efficient with his control. Now coming in, he even knows that the High Templar was low on energy, so he didn't bother sniping it for a while and just ignored it while gunning down some goons and then killed it on the retreat. This guy is just firing on all cylinders cognitively.
Just the way that he moves his Hydras and how quickly they retreat under the storms is insane. A lot of the times Hydras bunch up on top of each other. They don't want to retreat back properly, but he's just every time moving perfectly, backing away exactly when it's necessary to do so, and there's just not much momentum for Best here. There's a 4th base now for Sulky. He's getting that operational. He's still continuing to rally forward. He's going to set up a ton more lurkers here, and Best, this is one little opportunity for him. Maybe he could push out and get on top of those lurker eggs, but I feel like that's almost a bait as well. Sulky has so many units out here, and if you push out that far to surround and kill those eggs, you're probably going to lose your whole army.
You're not wrong. Yeah, if he commits to killing the eggs, he's then so far away from his rally point. Suddenly the trades become easier. Another beautiful snipe from Sulky. He even gets out with the majority of those Hydras. Best doing a good job of still punishing some of these plays from Sulky, but not quite getting the compensation he needs to stay ahead in the curve. Now Sulky pushing the issue with some lurker tactical burrows. He knows there's no observers here, so he knows he's reliant on storms to clear the lurker field, so he will push forward with a few tactical lurkers here and there to pressure Best, but he's worried about stepping into this kill box. He knows Best is no slouch. If he commits too heavily, he will just get completely dominated by the Protoss army, so he's being very tactical about this semi-contain.
Pushing in slowly but surely. Best going to react with some storms. Great storm there, dealing a ton of damage. A lot of these lurkers are heavily stacked, but it doesn't really matter right now for Sulky because not many storms can be brought to bear. So the stacking of the lurkers is actually helpful to him at this point in the game. Here comes one storm. That storm goes down. Ooh, taps out. Best realizes that he's not going to be able to hold on. Not even going to finish off that fight though.
Wow.
Tapping out. Big thumbs up from KCM as Sulky goes in this final game.
Look at his face.
Yeah,
he's smiling. Like you can see there's like that boyish inner child coming out in his face there. He's happy to see that performance.
Yeah, well, I don't know what kind of performance we can get from Stork. Maybe he's got something really sneaky. He's going to have to pull out something wild to potentially beat Sulky here. I'm very curious which map we're going to get. Are we going to get this final on Monty Hall? Ooh, that could be interesting.
Please.
Let's check it out. No.
여러분 아시잖아요. 그 결승 가면요, 준결승 가면 또 김명훈 만날 거고, 네, 김민철 만날 거고, 그 있어요. 김민철, 김명훈, 조일장, 뭐 예, 있어요. 김성대 아니면 뭐 이혜훈 막 있어요. 맞아요. 못 넘어가면 안 돼.
All right, Shun. Well, maybe the pro gamers are tired of playing on Monty Hall. They've decided that that's going to be a veto. We haven't seen it today yet, and we're going to get another match on Minstrel, which I'm actually a pretty big fan of this map. It's a good map.
Yeah. It can be punishing with these 5 lanes of attack. If you don't, kind of batten down your hatches and dot your I's, cross your T's, you can just get completely obliterated with like a shove down the middle or something. Your army's out of position and your rally point's now exposed. Can spell disaster as a Zerg player or something. So I want to be super careful on this map. Seems it looks like a bit of a gas trick from Sulky. And what are you doing, you Stork? You madman. You absolute mad lad. He's going to go for a Nexus first and Sulky's pull first.
Oh, no.
Oh, God.
Damn it.
God.
Sulky. He's calling him out. He knows that he doesn't need a 12 hatch to beat Stork. He doesn't need an early expansion to beat Stork, so why not just go for some early lings, lock down what Stork is doing, figure out what's coming. That way he stands pretty much no chance of losing, and he's actually going to get a free win here, it seems like.
Yeah, I mean, this is the problem with someone of Soulkey's caliber, is that he's so good, he doesn't need to play any greedy against you. He can play like super safe and then know that he's probably going to have to play from behind if he's wrong, and that's okay because he'll probably still beat you even though he's playing from behind. And that's what's so scary, because now he can like make plays like this where he's going to guarantee not being caught off guard by a 12 Nexus and be able to punish some other builds as well, like Gateway first. So this is honestly interesting play. He needs to pull like almost every single probe, like maybe keep like a few mining in the main base, but the rest needs to come off the line. Maybe he can buy enough time, but the lost mining time is already painful.
The lost mining time is super painful. He's not in the wall perfectly. First probe goes down. Second probe is going to be targeted. Another probe gets targeted here. He's still got the wall being held, but the Lings are going to slip by now finally. The cannon finishing up. Can he block these from getting into the main? He has to kill every Ling here. Otherwise, this is not going to be worth it for Stork. He lost so many probes, but he does stay alive. He's one supply behind.
He just barely stopped those
Soulkey
Lings getting in the main base. He just barely stopped those Lings getting. He might get in. Oh! One Ling gets in.
One Ling gets in. Rough, but I guess it's acceptable at this point. Manageable, for sure. Stork, he can't really afford to move the probes around in the main very much. He has to be really, really conservative with the way that he defends this in the main. Like, he can't pull all the probes to one patch and try to jump on top of that Ling to kill it. Yeah. You gotta just slowly but surely pick off a little bit of HP from those, or from that Ling, and just don't allow it to deal too much damage. Keep its health low as possible, and that's what he's trying to do. He's actually going to send one probe after this. This is something that a lot of Protoss players will do. Just keep one probe chasing it, and then if that probe takes some damage, then switch it out with a new probe and just keep the chase going.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to be seeing a 973, it looks like, from Soulkey as a follow-up to this game state. Has put on a lot of damage indirectly with those Zerglings, forcing so many probes off the line. Still harassing in the main base with that one Zergling as well. Oh, almost getting this probe. Missed targets the Nexus there. Needs to be careful.
Gotta keep those probes alive. Stork sends his Zealot over towards his third base, and the 973... it's not going to work out too good if the Zealot spots everything. He can just throw down more cannons and be fine. One drone pops out there at the third base, and the Lings are going to get on top of that Zealot. And we'll take that out before the Hydras start to pop, and I don't think that Stork's going to know about this. This is going to be a big surprise to him coming forward.
We have got a scout that's coming in the natural. Like, I'm hoping he can somehow figure this out with it, but I don't necessarily think he will. There are Lings. Or he gets past the Lings, maybe getting into the main base now. He will be able to maybe identify this build.
Oh, wow. He got into the main. No way.
Crazy.
That is ridiculous. That one probe. Once again, the Gretzky probe skates by, just can't hit him.
Like, we have to give props to Stork here, because like this could have been a free win, like already game over, and that would have been a bit of an anticlimactic finish. But instead, we actually got a game on our hands now, and Stork's actually, like, you know, being the hero that we needed in this final hour.
There's a possibility that Stork can hold on to a Hydra bust, but he has to walk the line still. A fourth base starts. Soulkey is just going to abandon this.
Well, it's going to be like a 9-7-3-4, but the fourth is at a fourth base, and he's going to, like, yeah, still apply a little bit of pressure, but it's going to be a complete fake. You know, it's going to be like maybe even more of a fake than usual, and really low committal in terms of how many Hydras he's making. Maybe just enough to keep his overlords alive and put on some pressure on that wall to make it seem somewhat believable while he's getting this fourth base online. Can't even speak today. And maybe getting more and more hatcheries and playing much a wider game, so probably going all the way up into like 5-6 hatchery production even before getting a second gas here.
Well, it doesn't seem like Stork is overreacting, at the very least. He does see all of these Hydras coming up. He's going to start another cannon, but he has the Corsair moving in the rally of these Hydras, and he's going to see another hatchery coming up. Does see more Hydras popping out, but you should know that there's not that much of a commitment from Soulkey. He's not going to go all in with this. He's going to come forward, try to get a cannon kill. If he gets the cannon, then he might be able to outrange the other two cannons and potentially kill the wall and maybe even get this forge. Although I think with the cannon kind of slightly above the forge there, he might actually be able to hold on to that.
He's going to make so many Hydras to pressure now. He's got so many production facilities available to him now, having 5 hatchery worth, maybe even 6 hatchery worth of production in just a moment here. It's absolutely wild stuff what Sulky's doing, trying to get a crazy amount of Hydras, gets another cannon as well. If he keeps Hydra production going while sniping off these cannons one at a time like that, it's just a pre-storm timing. It's going to take another like 30 seconds, maybe 40 seconds at least before we're anywhere close to having storm ready. So this is a little bit rough for Stork. He has to stay alive for a good 30 seconds here with pure Zealot cannon, and Sulky has got quite a lot of Hydras. Stork's now trying to push them back before any more rallied Hydras come across the map to see if he can start getting an advantage now by killing off some of these Hydras and buying some time. Every precious second counts when he's getting Storm on them out just a few moments here.
This is a pretty reasonable decision from Stork. Like the way that he decided, oh wow, and he kills the Overlord. That actually might just hold everything.
Yeah, DT.
Because the DT can get out. But he built 2 gateways here in the natural, and he has the gateways in the main as well. And he just kept making Zealots and got speed. So he's delayed maybe his attack a little bit, but he got the Zealots out with the speed pretty quickly. Now jumping in here on the natural, oh my god, he's going to kill the cannons. This wouldn't have happened if Stork hadn't dived so hard in with those Zealots earlier and lost the majority of them. Now he doesn't have them to back up these cannons, and now Sulky coming into the natural. We've got a storm potentially here, but he's going to snipe the Templar here before the storm can get off. 1 Templar running up into the main. Just a Zealot would have been so much better. 2 more Templar in the main. Oh my god, he put so much money into these Templar, knowing that he was going to have Storm coming up soon, but just not on time. The DT is running rampant, but if only he had made more DTs instead of those 4 Templar, he would have been in such a better position. There's a Corsair going down. Hydras, along with an Overlord, making their way over to the front, so even the DT will not save him eventually.
Yeah.
But that DT is doing so much work. I'd love to see how many kills that guy has, because he is holding on for Stork. He's just barely keeping him alive right now, even though things are really spiraling out of control. He's sort of kind of hanging on because of that DT.
Yeah, Hydra's now getting behind the mineral line in the main base. There's just barely enough to deal with that, though. The DT, the hero DT, finally goes down, unfortunately. And I mean, this is a spelling disaster for our Protoss player here. The last hope is now being snuffed out by Sulky as he rallies more and more Sauron Zerg-esque style units across the map. The hero DT number round 2 is going to be online, but maybe there's another Overlord coming along slowly but surely, so eventually that will be on the clock. Here's those 2 slow Overlords finally going to be making their way downtown and getting into the action and clearing up any more efforts from these DTs from holding on by a thread, and it won't be enough. We need some storms here. Finally have some High Templars online, but barely got the energy of the storm, and he's still going to lose these High Templars before Storm is able to get out from them. This is really unfortunate from Stork here. It's really impressive stuff from Sulky. Just relentless pressure non-stop.
Absolutely relentless. He's getting in there again. So many gateways were made by Stork in the main. I bet he regrets not making more cannons with that money. As he was holding that attack, he might have been able to get cannons up, but he just didn't have the money to do everything at the same time. He pulls the probes to fight, but Sulky takes this game away. GG.
Wow. GG.
Not an unexpected end to this week of KCM, and Sulky just crushing face.
He's just so good, man. I mean, the champion himself really showing his caliber. I mean, this is the kind of performance we expect from him. And Stork, though, did hold his own. I expected him to go out a lot earlier on in here, but couldn't quite get his way to that mid-game phase. And so many High Templars did pop out just before Storm was ready. If only he held on for another like 10 or so seconds, he was probably looking pretty fine in that game. But unfortunately, the Sulky is just too good at what he does. He figures out the one win condition that he needs to beat you, and he executes it to absolute flawless perfection.
가능성은 없어요. 레종최, 종최 왔을 때 이재호도 잘렸고
Oh no! I think I might have not recorded that last game.
You serious?
Wait.
Can you pull the last game from my stream?
No.
Man.
I clicked it and it recorded for 1 second.
No way.
I got a 1 second video.
God damn it.
Shit. Literally 1 second. How is the file 2 megabytes for 1 second?
Hey man, that's a very precious second. We don't
What in the shit?
Oh fuck. You're gonna have to pull it from my stream and have a slightly lower quality final game.
Shit.
Wait, what are you running your game at? What's your stream at? Sorry, I mean, what's it set to? Your stream quality, I mean, on Discord.
1080p.
Okay, so it's not too bad. I mean, it might look okay from them being pulled from my. Won't look too bad. Not as bad as it had done in the past, where you pulled a 720p probably.
Yeah, it's just my sound quality will be terrible.
A little bit, yeah. Although not as bad as it could be as well, because we're in a channel with custom bitrate. So it's not the worst case scenario, but it's not ideal. Could be worse. Could be worse.
Well, that's a bunch of extra work. Can you end your stream so I can download it?
Sure. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Hope you guys have a good day.